Way bigger than yours.
Say it
At the
again.
at the at
Say
the
it again,
time, they
motherfucker.
hold on, I'm getting there. At the time, yeah, he had a big old eggshelled biceps, baby.
Hey,
But
buddy, they're still here, bro. They're still
he
here.
flexed those things. Yeah, you had
Let
some
me see
weird
them.
defined biceps, and you still have them. Let's see those bad boys. Show them up. Show
I'm
everybody
gonna
what you
get
got
out.
going on.
I'm gonna
Check
get
this
out
out,
for
Cypher.
real.
Look at his
But hold on,
biceps.
I need like I need good shadows. Hold on. You know how it is. Like, why do they oil themselves up and
Oh,
get
hold on. Why does it?
spotless?
Oh, there he is.
All right.
All
I
right,
don't know. Where does it have to be? It has to be here, kind of, right? Like up there. All right,
something
check
like
this
that.
out.
Yeah, yeah. See if you still have them.
Oh,
Oh, you've lost them a little bit. Do your
God
other arm. Do your
damn it.
other arm.
No, that's pretty good. No, hold on. Hold on.
They're
Where
not
is
like
it?
they used to be, man. Those things used to be
What are you
like
talking
straight up
about?
just
They're popping pretty good. They're
look at those
popping.
right there.
Yeah, well,
Holy shit.
you've always had bigger fucking muscles, dude. But mine
Dude, you
were a
remember we
party
always
trick
used
for
to
a while,
joke when
though.
I lifted weights that I should stop doing my biceps because I'd get fucking gorilla arms?
Bro, can I tell you what happened?
Yeah,
I
what's up?
actually like, I mean, I'm
So hold
pretty
on
skinny still, but I've put on like
before
a
you
little bit of
start, before
dad
you
fat, you
start,
know?
before you start, I want it because I'm in the same vein except I'm in the opposite right now because I've been so stressed out lately and like my sleeping habits have been terrible and yada yada yada. But anyways, I've lost when I was working at the RBC and when I was with Kaylee, who I'm no longer with, so I've been like super
Yeah.
stressed lately. I was like 156. I am down to 139 pounds.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm
But
like
you don't look skinny
skinny
in the
mini now.
face though, or anything.
I
Like you don't look
it
gaunt.
on video, I it probably puffs it up a little bit to be honest, but
I'm getting
my
angry about
because
unimpressive.
my uncle mentioned to me, bro, I
Yeah.
was out drinking with Matt and Billy. Oh boy, yeah,
Are you
Billy.
talking Billy
And
Fletch?
yep, talking the
Oh
old
my
Fletch Master.
God. Oh my God, dude. If I
Yep,
could be a fly on that wall, why didn't you? That's the thing is like, those are the moments where you either got to record it and show me later. Even
I
like
know.
audio recording,
Well,
dude, just snipe a
I did
recording.
I
Like,
did actually it wasn't that was it that night? I I think it was that same day, but I did record me and Matt went to the fair in town because the fair was going on and Matt was talking to the carnies and so I recorded some of the conversations that Matt was having with some of these carnies and he was talking to this one older dude and he had all kinds of stories to tell. And so Matt was like paying and I'm like, Matt, come on now, you're bugging the guys. Like either you pay him so you can keep talking to him or we get out of here. And he's like oh, and I'm like, just pay the dude. And he's like, oh, would you let me pay you like $10 and then like you'll talk to me? And he's like, yeah, sure. So Matt was paying him like he paid him like 20 bucks to talk to him for like 20 minutes. He was
oh my God.
so so I recorded some of the stuff the guy was saying. It was just stupid. I don't know if it's anything super interesting. I haven't
I
watched the
do want
videos
to
back.
hear it. I mean, I do want to see
I'll
it, to be honest with you.
I'll send them to you on Facebook. I have them on my phone. I was actually thinking about doing that, but I'm like, I don't know. I never watched them back, so I don't know how stupid they sound because we were kind of fucking drunk. So,
Yeah, no, I get that. I get
but
that.
it was so it could have been a totally different experience from like watching it as opposed to like being there. So I have no idea. I never watched them back to see if it was anything worth it down. But I was like, hey, maybe I can use this later or something with whatever. So I figured, what the hell? I recorded some of it anyways,
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
but
I
yeah,
need
no,
I need two
I didn't.
I need
What? Go
two
ahead.
seconds. I need 2 seconds
All right.
because I have a evil plan. Uh,
One, two. All right.
no, I have a good plan. Hold on a sec. Uh, do
Don't tell me we're
this.
calling Billy right now.
No, but you know what I'm trying to do? I'm just for fun. I'm testing out streaming to a totally brand new Twitch channel just for fun. Just
Oh,
as like to
oh, are you streaming it right now?
Well, that's what I was trying to do. I literally just
Oh,
created a
You
Twitch account on under like
right?
obviously I'm not gonna say the band, but under non-band name. And
Okay.
and like supposedly it's working. Like according to Zoom it's
Well, do you
working,
want me to?
but when I go to the profile it says like that it's offline, but it shows me
Okay,
the
so if
amount of
it's
time
saying
it's been
if it
live.
if it's saying it's offline, then it is offline.
Yeah, but what the fuck, you know?
It
It's like, what do I have
sometimes
to do?
sometimes it takes it a minute to show up. Like
Say
once
again?
you start it, I said
Oh, it is
once you
showing up.
start it, yeah, I was gonna say sometimes it takes it a minute for it to show up to show it that it's online. So like as soon as you start it, it's not gonna show up, but depending on the latency and what you're using, it may take a minute. But if it's
Jesus
up
Christ.
now, if it says it's
All I'm
online, then you
hearing
should
is
be
a
good to go.
delayed, like I'm hearing you and I'm hearing.
So just mute, make sure you
I am. I did.
mute the
Finally.
stream because I've had issues with that where when you're doing that, it freaking it'll get like feedback and it'll echo
Oh, okay.
because it picks
Well, yeah,
up
of course. It's like
it
fucking radio. It's like anything
yeah,
with a
because like when
delay.
you're
Jesus
talking, it
Christ.
picks up like the voice. It can sometimes pick up the voice depending on what you're using
Yeah.
on like the actual stream, and then it like echoes and it screws everything up. So
Hey, man. Captain Obvious. I can't say shit
hey,
like that with a straight face. I don't get it. I wanted to say that dead
Captain
serious, but
Obvious,
this.
what going on here?
Yeah, thanks for the description, Captain Obvious. Back to the conversation. No, I'm kidding.
All right,
But no,
thank you for mansplaining that to me. I get it now.
yeah,
Yeah, bro, anytime. Thanks for that mansplain, bro. That
thanks for the Stearns plane. Really
yeah,
appreciate.
thanks for the fucking Stearns plane, dude. That was fucking radical. All right, dude, that was great.
Yeah,
Thank you. I
dude. Like
appreciate that.
I'm always happy when I'm sitting in for a fucking Stearns plane.
Oh,
That's
Christ.
my favorite
Yeah,
place to
Clinton, are
be.
you done yet? You should have been done about 20 minutes ago. Do you think I'm stupid? No, I get it. Oh, yeah, sorry, man. Oh,
Bro,
sorry, dude.
I've actually had like, Shpressa has said that to me that like I tend to over explain things, and that's
Yeah,
probably I
I
think
do
that's
too. Oh
something
God, that
that's one of
interview
the
I
things
had
we
today,
have in
I
common.
felt the same way.
Yeah, but I want to hear about the interview you did today.
No, it
First,
was
I want to
just
talk about myself. So
Oh,
anyway, no, I'm kidding.
okay, wow. All
I'm
right, Mr.
joking. No,
Fucking center of attention. No, go ahead. You go first. It's
no,
because it
please,
must be
please.
pressing.
No,
No, you. After you.
I'm
After
sure
you.
your
Wait.
interview that you just had an hour ago is so much more important than my narcissism.
No, it's fine. I
So,
get it. I'm sure what you have to say is totally something I haven't heard before,
so I
and
pooped 3 times today, and the third time was the
wow.
charm. The third time was the
Is
charm.
this is this true though? Because I swear to God, yesterday, bro, I I had the shits like crazy. I had like really bad anxiety for some reason. I think it was from like the medication that I take, and I hadn't
Oh
taken it
yeah,
for a
that'll
while.
do it.
And
That'll do it.
I found some pills that were older. They were the same meds, but they were just old. And it's like, do not take after this date. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so I have them cut up into like fourths. So they're
Okay.
20 milligrams, right? And I have them cut up into fourths. And so I found like a half one in there, and then I took like two of the fourths and whatever.
All
And
right.
I took it, and then it was like, a couple hours later, and I started getting really anxious, and I'm like, oh shit, did those meds all mess me up? So I was like about to have like a panic attack. And I'm like, oh my God. So like I started shitting like everywhere. Like I
Oh
shit
my
like three
God.
different times, like diarrhea poo. Like it
Oh
was bad.
shit. Literally shit.
Yeah.
But
But
where?
anyways,
Like you
no,
say everywhere. When you
well, I
say
just
everywhere.
mean like in the two different bathrooms because I had the
Oh
shit so
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
So like I
That's
almost
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
make it.
That's like the civilized version of everywhere. You're not
Yeah, yeah.
talking. Oh, but
Yeah.
anyway, let's hear about it.
The interview though was just for what the hell are they called? Financial business systems in Fargo, and it's just remote work, but they have
The
like a
fuck does that? That sounds like a CIA front.
right. Maybe they are. Well,
Bro,
we'll
think
get
about
there.
that. It's like, how generic a business name can we come up with? Well, let me see. Let me try to make it as generic as possible. What was it again?
Financial business systems.
That's it. That's it, man. We got it. We got our fucking
Now
front.
we know. Um, but
Jesus
anyways, so
Christ.
they actually work. They're like they must be like a third party. They're like a third party company, I think, that does tech support for a real estate agency. And
God, that
so
sounds fake.
they developed um, an LMS, which is a learning management system. Um, so whoever developed it or whatever, they made it, and it's like a browser-based app. So like
Hmm.
Microsoft Word Online, that
Word,
type of deal.
word.
So the app is within the browser, and basically I'm just troubleshooting that
Okay.
system for their clients and customers that call in with issues. Pretty simple stuff, a little beneath me, but I'll take it. Um,
That's cool though. I mean,
But
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 you said that you mentioned. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. But you
no,
mentioned
go ahead.
over-explain. I was just going to say that we were having a conversation about over-explaining, and that was a good. I think you segued into this from that. So I
that
was
was a
curious.
good
Did you
that was a
over-explain?
good segue to uh show you that I definitely over explain things because I was.
Just as the like,
I could have said, "Oh
wow.
yeah, I had an IT interview for a tech position for an LMS thing,"
No, but I
but
want to
then you'd
hear
be
about
like,
it.
"Well,
I actually want to know, like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to know how
what
the
is
fuck.
LMS?"
No, but you explained it very well, actually. I actually, the here's the thing that I say to Espresso is like I over explain because I appreciate when people over explain to me most of the time. Like,
Yeah,
because if actually, and if you've ever watched any, like, if
yeah,
you
you do
sometimes
over explain too.
I do.
You and I, we get on a subject that we know about or we talk about or whatever, and it's like, all right, I'm not gonna be rude to this guy, but when is he gonna?
No, but
When is
actually,
it
the
my
truth
turn?
is, I
But
think both of us actually, genuinely, are people that we over explain because we actually appreciate. Like, if somebody
I,
is saying something in an interesting way, like you typically tell a
yeah,
story in an interesting way, I try to tell a story in an interesting way. And I think, like, then over explaining is good because it fleshes out the details and, it makes you feel like you were
yeah, yeah.
there.
Well,
So I
see,
actually normally don't feel like you're like I don't get bored.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
listening to you over explain stuff
Yeah,
personally.
with my habit, I think I like when I was working at the RBC for the tech position, I made sure to over explain things just so nobody would have any questions
I
after I
actually
was
had no
done.
idea that Arby's like so Arby's has a tech division.
It's RBC, it's the White Earth government. And so I did
Oh,
tech support or I was a technician
uh,
for them. So for White Earth, it was the White Earth
so you're
government. So it was
saying okay,
called
so you're telling me that Arby's has a location on the White Earth Reservation? That is
yes.
crazy, dude.
Yeah. And so
That is
I would do like
crazy.
their stuff for like their sandwiches and shit like that.
So money laundering.
Basically, I was kind of like the go-to guy. So we used the Arby's as a way to launder money
So
for
that
the
was how
White Earth
you washed it.
government.
Okay, so that's cool. So now we're talking about washing real estate money.
Yes, basically.
Okay. Why didn't you just start? I mean, you made it so like you over. Yeah, why didn't you just say that from the beginning, dude?
Yeah, so yeah, we're basically just washing the money. I don't know what kind of dryers or anything that we'll be using, but it could be something pretty high tech.
Yeah, yeah, because you do have to dry it after it's been washed. That is true.
Yeah.
Um, but actually, I was genuinely curious. Also, like, what was the like? Literally, take me to how does an interview like this look like? Like, was it
All
a
right.
one guy? Was it a lady? Was it a guy and a
So
lady? Was it?
it's two dudes. It was two
Oh
guys. It
God,
was like a
Jesus,
supervisor and then
it's
like
intimidating.
the director basically. And you interview with them. And so there was two sets of interviews I had to do, right? I did the first one, which was just basic generalized questions, which just pertain to like what is my experience in IT? How would you resolve a certain situation? What would you do, if somebody called and did this, or if you had to do this and that? And then like, so that was that first part of the interview. The second interview was like the technical questions, which were actually very easy. I wasn't sure what I was getting into because like being it what they were using an LMS, I thought um it was going to be so like with the learning or the learning management systems. I was like, God, I don't know, what am I getting into? Am I going to have to like learn to like identify like certain syntax errors and things within the LMS? But I was like, no, that can't be it, because this is just going to be, there's not, I can't do anything like that on, like for customers. So I don't think it's going to be that. But anyway, so yeah, the questions they asked were basically, they started with like what is copying and what is cutting? And it's
Mm,
like, well, copying something, right? You're duplicating it, whether it's a file or um, a text, right? So then you can paste it later. But you like copy a file, you can copy it, duplicate it, and paste it somewhere in a different folder if you need to, or if it's
yeah,
text. And then when you cut it, right, you cut it, and it parses like the what you highlighted, or if you cut something, and it'll put into a clipboard on the computer, and then you can access that cut for future use from the clipboard. So it saves it in a temporary spot until your computer shuts off, basically. Or you can probably opt to have it like save indefinitely if you want it to stay there. But technically speaking, it puts it in a temporary spot onto a clipboard. And then it was like, what is and then they asked like other questions like, what is a web browser? Oh my God. It's like, well, okay, what is a web browser? Something like Chrome or Firefox or Edge, right? That you use to navigate and access the internet, so you type in the name of the website and then it sends, an IP, or it pings that IP from the website. And instead of it, bringing up like the IP that it would list, right? Because when you're typing in a website, it's a specific IP that you're communicating with. So
Right.
it resolves the host name into words, right? So floracache.com, you type that in, it's actually numbers, but the host name's resolving it. And
Sure,
then it's
sure.
like, there's other shit, so they ask questions like that. And then, what would you do if somebody was having this issue? And then you go through all the steps. I could explain forever, but yeah, what do you
Well,
do
what
if they're having,
first thing that strikes me is, which is really fascinating, and I'm actually surprised, but I'm also kind of pleasantly surprised because it's very interesting, which is it seems like such a it gives me a bunch of thoughts about like just the state of like that industry, like what's going on when they're asking
well,
such a like I'm just saying, and I'm not saying it's
yeah,
bad, like
well,
I'm not saying it's stupid, but it's like they're
well,
like that
I thought the
that
same thing.
copying versus cutting thing is such a like rudimentary question that it's almost philosophical. It's almost like this is a basic starting point, which is like you would expect anybody interviewing for that position. That's you skip way past that question, right? But it also highlights the
Yeah, well,
importance of
see, I kind
starting
of did
at
when I
basic.
answered it. And I was
Right.
like, oh my God, I was like sitting there thinking like, in terms of like just text. I didn't even bring up the fact that you can copy it. Like I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe. And I had like one shot to answer, and like that's my final answer. And I'm like, oh my God, and that's not what they wanted to hear. But I'm like, okay, whatever, because I
Oh, it's not what they
totally, and
wanted
it
to
was like
hear?
the easiest question, but I wasn't
No, no, but
thinking in terms
that's
of like,
curious to me because like your answer I think answers it at a very, I mean, I think that's a correct answer. So I'm wondering what is it that they were expecting, you think?
I think they just wanted to. I think they do it so because I've had a lot of these IT interviews. I've been to about 10 of them now,
Yeah.
and a lot of workplaces I think are looking more for personality as opposed to technical savvy, like with certain positions, which is
Oh.
kind of disappointing to say the least, because that means they're bringing in people who may be less experienced but think that they'll fit the profile within their company better, which all makes sense, right? You want to have a good workplace and people get along.
It kind of
But I
makes
think
sense, yeah.
but I think, when they're judging people based on an interview and gauging a
Yeah.
personality, as
Yeah.
opposed to like you may not fit the bill in certain areas, but you excel in a lot of other areas. If I'm hiring somebody, obviously I want to be able to connect with them on a personal level, but at the same time, maybe I don't connect with them, in certain areas. But what
Well,
they're saying, it's like, okay, he knows what he's doing, he has experience, he's done it. This is what we want. And so it's like, and it's hard to gauge exactly what they're looking for, because I think, and a lot of them do ask very generalized questions, and I think they're doing that. I personally think they're looking for you to say something specific in relation to what they're looking for. So they're not going to ask you specific questions unless it's more of like a highly specialized position. You might get more of those answers. If you're doing like software developing, or so you're using code or programming. They might test you, like for a second interview like they did today, right? And just ask some very basic generalized questions. But I think they're looking for how you answer, especially in like the position that I was applying for today, more or less, that I know what I'm talking about. And secondly, how I come off when I'm answering these questions, if I'm confident in it, and if I know if I know what I'm talking about, and how I handle the questions as opposed to what my answer actually is, regardless of whether
all
it's
right,
right or not.
let me ask you a question. A couple
Okay.
questions, but I'm going to start with this one.
Okay.
Why okay, so what gave you that impression? Like, I mean, is this just something you came up with, or is this something that you like thought about? Like, is this based on like, oh, I have this experience where there's a pattern of when I don't get the job that I sense that it's a personality thing, or has somebody told you that explicitly? Like, hey,
Well,
we're just looking for a different vibe.
that's kind
Like, you
of
see
what
what I'm
I
saying?
was, yeah, that's kind of partly what I was getting at because a lot of these, like, so like from personal experience, and then I went and read online today, and I'll get into that in a minute, but it's I like the like the last second to last job I interviewed for was for a Bagley position, and the interview went really well. And I asked them, you have any questions or whatever, and I didn't have any, specific questions because I feel like most of the time during those interviews, those questions are answered one way or another. And I asked questions in between, so I was like, okay, I don't really have much to ask, because I don't like to ask about, oh, how much are you paying me? I kind of already knew that, like I don't like to ask things that are going to make it sound like I'm more concerned about, oh, what are my hours? I don't want to, I don't like to ask, I let them tell it. But anyways, the interview went really well, and and I asked him at the end of the interview specifically, and so, did you have any questions? And I said, well, I looked, and I saw the job description, and I'm not applying for anything that I don't think I can handle. So, what exactly, what exactly would I be doing in this position? Um, what exactly would I be doing in this position? And they're like, literally, pretty much the same thing you were doing before. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I must be a shoo-in for this. Didn't get the job. So, but I don't think it's not only that, but like I don't have any of my certs right now, which I'm getting. Actually, I'm studying for them. I'm working on getting my CompTIA certification, which is like a main one, and then I'll kind of specialize into like yeah, like into like a more specialized area like networking. I think I want to do like networking portion and then like a security portion, which they both kind of
Interesting.
go hand in hand. So like, but right now, just to get the comp TIA, that one I honestly think I could damn near pass without even studying for it. But I'm going to study for it first and then take it because I don't want to. I want to pass with like perfect, and
Yeah.
then and then the next ones
I
will
gotta
be
stop you. I gotta
something I
stop
actually
you. No, I
learn.
gotta stop you. That's too much detail. Okay, let's go back to the big picture here. So,
Okay.
you do this interview. That's so you do have some experience as to why you're coming up with this conclusion, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Like
Oh,
like
okay. And then
yeah,
I
no,
read
no, but like
online.
again, don't get
Well,
lost down a fucking detail hole.
no,
I
no, this isn't.
all right.
I was reading online. I typed it in and I said, I've been applying for IT positions and I've done, so many of these interviews. And I said, or I typed it on Google, I've been applying for these IT positions. Why are they not asking more technical questions based on the position? Because all of these IT positions are very like generalized questions. Like they're just asking for your background in IT, and then they're asking, like very generalized, like very based questions, like, how do you feel? How are you good, working independently? How do you feel about working with the team? Things like that. And so I read online, and this guy had the same question. It was on, I can't remember if it was on Reddit or wherever it was, a forum. I think it was Reddit. And people were saying that a lot of um, tech positions these days aren't necessarily concerned about your skills or experience as opposed to your personality.
Yeah.
And so
All
I'm
right.
like,
So
huh,
so
that
that
is
I want to go
very
back to that. I
interesting.
want
Not
to
to say
zero
that
in.
they're not all like that. Maybe for a very
Fair enough.
highly specialized position, it's different. But anyways,
But yeah, now we got the gist of it. The thing that I'm wondering is, no, I actually have a few comments if you don't mind. What I'd say is, first of all, if you are aware of this, then my personal feeling is, why not then? I know it's hard, but why not lean into this idea of like, you know what? I've tried the other things and it doesn't. So far, I mean, granted, eventually it whatever you're doing now will work, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
why not actually lean into this thing of like, if people are looking for workplace culture, and I know you've thought about this, but I'm just going to say it.
Hmm.
If people are looking into this thing about workplace culture, and that's a priority, probably honestly because they're thinking like AI is going to more and more sort of like automate things, and like more and more
Yeah.
like what you have to do is going to get more and more like kind of you're going to be able to delegate that to AI. And so then it's
Right.
going to become like if you're in a workspace, a lot of it is going to be much more about the personalities that you're working with. And in a sense, you could reframe your thinking in two ways. Number one, you could say, like, I'm gonna just accept that that's what they're looking for. So I'm gonna go in there and I'm just gonna like balls to the wall. I'm gonna just be me. I'm gonna be the Clinton that I would be if I was talking to Cole, or if I was talking to Matt, or if I was talking maybe. I mean, obviously you modulate that a little bit, but you kind of treat the person like they're an old friend,
Just
right?
bake some
And then
spaghetti.
on the
That's fine.
second, right, you treat the person who's interviewing you and the whole company like an old friend. Try that and just see, like, try to get comfortable being the real you, even if it means like a cringe joke, or like just try it out. Because what if you crack a stupid Clinton joke and all of a sudden they laugh? Because here's the other angle of this, which is like, why don't you start reframing your mind as I'm shopping for a place to work where I fucking can joke around and have fun with the people there? Because if that's
Very
what they're
true.
looking for, then why not in your mind think, well, that's also then what I'm looking for? Like, wouldn't you rather be working with your friends? You would,
Yeah.
right? So it's like if you
Yeah.
go
Very
into a
much so.
place where it's like my personality, okay, so far all you know is that you being a certain way isn't working. But that doesn't mean you being like another way isn't perfect. And then you don't even find out, because what if some of these places you went to, what if all those people there, you guys could be cracking silly jokes and being retarded and all this kind of stuff. And you don't even know that because you weren't being your real self, and therefore they weren't even judging you on your real self, so you didn't even get a chance to connect with them in that way. So like I think on both fronts it's like you may as well just go into a fucking interview now, because you've tried the other way a few times. Start going into the interviews or whatever. Even if you get an offer, go do more interviews, because guess what's fucking awesome is like if you can say to somebody you're interested in, like, well, I do have another offer from this other place. So I mean, I know it's
Yeah.
a lot, I know it's annoying, and it's like I'm not saying there's offers all over the place, but I'm just saying, like, if you change that mindset, you go, I'm gonna treat them like a buddy, kinda, with some caveat. I'm not gonna like say something too crazy, and then I'm also gonna think, would I want to work here? Would I want to hang out with these people? Like, Jesus Christ, like, look at these people. I mean, maybe if you're thinking, oh my God, they remind me of every person I don't like, then you might just go, I don't want to get hired here anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll take my time. But if you go into a place and you get a vibe where and you see somebody joking over there, if you walk in and you see some guy joking or whatever, don't don't forget that the guy interviewing you, or the lady or whatever, when you leave, she's going to go into the mode, or he's going to go into the mode of joking around with those same dudes. There's a reason they're there. So if you sense anything like that, fucking just turn on the like I'm your old friend vibe, for your own sake, for their sake, you know?
Right.
I think that's what
Hmm.
I'm getting from this. Like, it's like a bigger sort of like just a lesson to take away from it. Why not use, now you
Yeah.
have this awareness, you've got this lesson, use it to your advantage. Try it out. If it doesn't work, I mean, it's not like the other thing didn't work either, so it's like, okay, whatever.
Right.
Now I have more data.
Yeah.
Who cares? You got nothing to lose in that sense, which is kind of
This
fun,
is
because
very
and you have a lot to gain if you do it like this, because you could end up making a bunch of new friends, you could have a bunch of cool new experiences, like, right? Like, do lean into the personality thing.
yeah.
Fuck it.
I was thinking
Who
about
cares if
doing
they're
that
looking
because
for
I
that?
do. I have another one. I have another one tomorrow, so I was actually thinking about switching it up a little bit
Well, then
and
maybe
just
this was
saying,
divine providence, and tomorrow is the time that you're going to be like, fuck, this is it. Time to lay it on, dude.
fucking run in there and be
I
like,
thought about it. Cole confirmed it. Bam, in.
yeah, just go in there and be like, guys. First thing I say, like,
These
guys,
nuts.
no, 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 I got something even better. And be like, guys, is this Weens or not?
Dude, bro, you're
Is
going
this?
too. See, that's too deep. Like, that's like
Oh,
Easter egg stuff. But I mean, I would respond, but that's only because I know you. Like, otherwise.
Cole's interviewing me for an IT position for his traveling
Yes.
band. It'll be
I,
the first thing I say, bro. This is freaking Weens right now. I'm telling you.
yeah, and I'd be like, yeah, it is. Thank God somebody gets it. It is Weens, and I'm
You know,
getting damn tired
could
of
you
it.
could you imagine if I went into an interview and I actually did that and the response was, "Yeah, this is Weens." I'd be like, "Yep, this is it." That's all that would need to be said. So maybe I should just do that in every interview. And as soon as somebody's like, "Yeah, this is Weens," that's it. I'm in. Don't matter
Dude,
what.
you know what? Now take it a step further in your whole meta journey. Um, Film it every time. Wear a hidden camera, a GoPro, then you got yourself a YouTube channel. No matter what
Oh
you
my
win,
God,
no
bro,
matter
that
what
is
you
a
win.
hilarious idea.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Dude,
And why wouldn't you do it?
nobody does that. Oh my God. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that tomorrow, but like once
Well,
I get a job,
exactly.
I'm just gonna keep
But
interviewing for
bro, but
these
bro,
IT
no, no,
positions.
that's deadly. That's deadly. This is the only thing that ever saves me is that thing that you just said where you're like, I'm not doing it tomorrow. That's the fucking killer right there. Because what you
No, I
should do
can't do it
tomorrow, no,
tomorrow.
but no, think about, listen to me for a minute. The way that I work is like when I have a big idea like that and something like, okay, well, if I were to execute it and then blah, 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 and then I make an excuse, you know what I do? Is I at least do the thing that will make me want to do the further thing. And just talking about it is not going to make you do it. It'll be, if you don't do anything different tomorrow about like recording or something, it is very likely to never happen because you get a lot of satisfaction of just thinking about doing it. All I'm going to suggest to you is tomorrow at least record the thing audio. It can be in your, whatever you're comfortable with, a phone in your pocket. It can be anything. It could even be holding the phone and kind of just like just recording a little bit
Wait,
like
I'm not
as
bringing up the Weens thing though, am I?
no, but you do whatever you want to do in terms of that. But I'm saying start your journey of recording it tomorrow because even if then, because then it encourages you, you go back and listen to it and you're like, God damn it, I wish I had the hidden camera. And then that encourages you to go like, yeah, I'm just going to get like a little GoPro, little fucking whatever thing. Or, you know, I don't know what the format would be so that it's least like suspicious if you want it to be like a hidden camera thing. But if you at least start tomorrow with like I'm going to at least have an audio recording in my pocket. That's at least something that's going to motivate you to do the next step. That's what I've learned. If I have anything to fucking share that's important is like because if you don't do that, like if I don't do something that takes me a step further, then I have to muster up even more energy later because I don't have this like, man, I just had this conversation and I think it's a great idea. In about 2 weeks, you're not going to feel that same way. You're going to have a million other things that you think about and have ideas. But tomorrow is fresh. Tomorrow, this conversation will be fresh, and it's the perfect opportunity to say, I'm gonna at least get that one recording. And then you start a folder on your computer and you say, the fucking crazy YouTube idea of saying, like, again, you don't have to say weens because maybe you're being too specific. It makes you not want to do it. Just say, like, job interviews. Like, this on its own is interesting to people. I was interested. I want to know how these
Job
people
interviews,
sound.
hashtag Weens.
Yeah. And then eventually you start incorporating the weens, and that can be part of your like hero's journey, you know. But you don't have to you don't have to start with weens. You just
I don't know,
start with
man. I'm
getting
thinking
something.
maybe starting with Weens is
Maybe you start with weens. I just say you don't have to, but don't use the not saying weens thing as an excuse not to record. I mean, you should record because it. Yeah, I've already said it. I'm not
especially in
gonna
this
repeat
day
it.
and age, man. You know,
Especially in this day and
yeah,
age.
think about all those times, man, back in the days where like we weren't really thinking about stuff like that at the time. You know, like
Yeah,
there was
but
YouTube and this, and
we
we
were
did this.
living too much in the moment. That's the thing is like our brains weren't
But
going
that,
to
yeah, but
record.
that, yeah, right, yeah. And that's because, it wasn't as widespread as it is now. There wasn't
No.
TikTok. I mean,
Oh, we
they
were in
had
early
Vines.
YouTube, dude. If we had gotten in on early YouTube, my God.
Oh my God.
But then again, we would probably both be fucked. I mean, like I would have made so many bad life choices if you and me got famous together doing a fucking thing like that, like a YouTube channel, we would probably be living on like we would be in rehab or some shit. It would be like crazy, dude. We'd probably have gone through like 4 feuds by now. We'd probably be
Rebuilt.
arguing about who owns the business. We'd be in some
Oh
like
gosh.
I mean, who the fuck know because of our mindset at that time, if we built something off of that it would be like we would always be going back into that mindset and like we were still young and dumb even if we were like loyal friends and whatever we were still like there's a different ego there and there's also something about
Yeah.
going through the journey of that's what I think about with Justin Bieber sometimes is like he's never had a chance to not be famous. He's never had a chance to be a normal person who actually is
Yeah.
like, man, it would be nice to at least have something going on.
Yeah,
Let
could you
alone
could
like
you
you're the fucking superstar of the world from the time you're 10 and like grown women want to fuck you. I mean, that was the weird thing. Remember with Bieber? It's like,
yeah,
remember that
isn't
thing?
that
We used to talk
yeah
about that, I think,
yeah
because it was like
oh yeah we
grown
did all
women
the
wanted to go
time.
to his concerts and like they were like swooning over him. It was fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, look at him now. I feel like he's trying to recapture some. I mean, obviously not childhood, right? Because he's just like the way the tabloids and things are now. They're like portraying him as Justin Bieber was out doing this, but like he's always had the focus and camera and attention on him
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the time. And now that he's like out, like trying to live some sort of life, maybe he does actually have a lot of issues at this point. I mean, but can you
How
really
could he
blame the
not?
guy? I mean,
How
being in
could
the
he not?
spotlight.
That's what I'm saying.
It,
It's like, how
yeah.
could you not be fucked up? I would be so fucked up. I don't know. I mean, I think you would be too, but I mean,
Oh God, yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's
because,
what
bro,
happens to all these child stars, though, too. I mean, later in life, you see them: Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes, now Justin Bieber, like so many
yeah,
more that
yeah.
that I don't even know, but like
And
they've
there's a
all,
few that turn out kind of fine. I mean, there
yeah,
are a
there are a
few. Like
few.
Leo DiCaprio was in stuff from the time he was young, and like, yeah, obviously, if you're like a Christian conservative, you could say I don't necessarily agree with like the lifestyle of never getting married, never having kids,
Yeah, but then
banging
of course,
23-year-old supermodels all the time. I mean,
yeah.
that's also fucked up to a lot of
But
people.
if you identify, then if you're identifying as a Christian conservative in Hollywood, you're not going to last very long,
No,
to be
I
honest.
get that. I'm saying, but more like the public. Like I'm saying, like
Yeah,
if we're just evaluating childhood stars, like it's easy for us to look at the people who seem to have lost their minds and like went crazy and stuff. But I'm saying
yeah,
there's also like look at Leo DiCaprio. It's like because like we're sitting here like dudes, we're like, yeah, but what's wrong with being like a pushing 60-year-old? I mean, I don't know how old he's like. Say you're 50 something, and he just trades up women for like the next 23-year-old supermodel and doesn't have kids. It's like I honestly like I think like live and let live. I don't really care, but I'm
right,
just saying like it's kind of funny because actually a lot of people in their real lives don't like if that was your uncle, people would be judging it. But when it's Leo
right,
DiCaprio, people are like, yeah, but that's cool. And the thing I'm trying to say is that like we look at that guy and say, well, that's at least an example of like he seems like a well put together guy that was famous as a child. He
I
started
need a
really young,
haircut.
but actually maybe he's not super well put together, even though his craziness looks acceptable. I'm
Right.
actually wondering like, is there any example of a childhood star that like stays in the game the whole time? Because then there's like Macaulay Culkin who got out, and
Yeah,
now
there's another
after
one.
like drug usage, he finally
Yeah.
is like kind of normal, but he's still not
Hmm.
normal because it's
No.
like he's never had to
Well,
worry about money a day in his adult
yeah.
life. It's fucking
Yeah.
weird. Like we can't even relate. There's no, and I do wonder like what does that do to the psyche like to from the earliest point in your life. But then again, is it different like the only thing that makes it different from somebody who grows up like the kid of a billionaire or something or like a prince or a princess or whatever because that still
Right.
exists is like the fame aspect, which then makes it like
Yeah.
extra weird because it's like I can't go out in public without people recognize me uh like there's how what does that do to you? Like even if you try to recapture some kind of youth or childhood, it seems impossible. Like because you don't even know what you're trying to recapture. You have no fucking
Yeah.
clue what
Well, you
that
don't, yeah,
was
you
like.
don't know what you're trying to recapture. You're just trying to recapture what you last remember was any sort of,
Or what people tell you, or like what
well,
Hollywood tells you. Like you have no
yeah,
clue.
what you're at that, like when you grow up like that, right? I feel like a lot of them try to recapture what gives them an escape.
Yeah.
And what it results in is very unhealthy behaviors because that's the only way they know how to escape. So that's
I
why they go to
I
the drug
agree.
use.
I agree, but you said something that I made me think of something. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
You said the last thing they remember, and that's something I didn't think about. In my mind, I didn't go to like the last thing they remember before being famous. I went to like they just never had a childhood, so they don't even know what they're trying to recapture. But now that
Yeah.
you say
Well,
that, no, but hold on. This is interesting. Now that you say that, though, I think about Michael Jackson because it's like he was a childhood star when he was literally he was the youngest of the Jackson 5. And
yep.
he was literally at the age, he was the literal age of the kids that he supposedly, allegedly
Right.
abused.
Yep.
And it's like so actually for him recapturing his whatever feelings he had of childhood are literally are going back to being that age. So that whole thing when he says like I feel like a child inside, it's not that he felt like a child inside. It was like that was the only bookmark that he had to go back to recapture any kind of sense of normalcy. And again, like
Right.
so like same thing of like if I had gotten like even a taste of success at like 17, my going back would be like what might have happened if I was 18, and I would probably be acting like I would be acting out like a fucking teenager, you know what I mean, a lot or
Yeah.
something like that. But then if you're like 25, 30, 35, like you
Hmm.
all the celebrities who got famous later in life, like there's the famous like Morgan Freeman
Yep.
didn't get to be famous till he was like in his 40s or yeah, like
Yeah.
his
Have you
40s.
noticed that? That's a good point. Have you noticed though, like a lot of the actors who did get famous or finally find success later in life, they don't ever seem to have near as many issues. They're never,
That's what I'm
they're never.
saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying they don't.
And
And
what do
also
you need?
because they're pre
Yeah, in a little bit, in a while. I'm not sure. Whenever we're done here. Yeah.
Oh, do you have responsibilities? Hello.
No,
Hello.
it won't be long. Okay.
Who was that?
That was Veronica, sister.
Oh, tell her hi. I didn't know it was
Um.
her because it blurred out her face when you
Oh yeah, I know. I have that dumb blur thing on. I tried to get it so it focused. It did it for like a second. Um.
oh well, in any
What
way.
was I? Uh. Oh
No,
yeah.
but we were just
So
talking
yeah,
about
they don't have a lot of those issues. You don't see it happening, because it happened in a later age. And so like Justin Bieber, is another good example, right? Because at a very young age, right, he's going over to Puff Daddy's and Puff Daddy's giving him cars and he's going to these P. Diddy parties and he's partying. So what's he doing now? He's going out and trying to recapture what he could really last remember, that he had some sort of semblance in his life. And so now he's going out and partying and doing this, which is
yep.
what he was doing at a very young age, because of his fame and stardom. And the same thing with like Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears and things like that. They all had, a lot of serious issues, and not just from like, just from personal experiences, like we all like heard the Britney Spears story, right? She grew up and her dad was really hard on her and all this. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
really messed her up along with her management and all that. And Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan was doing that same type of stuff. And then she goes on this downward spiral, is gone for however many years, probably 10 years. And then she kind of
Yeah.
put herself back together and she's back in the spotlight again, but at an older age. So she was kind of like, she went through it, got through it, and now is living her life based on her last good experience that she had, which was getting clean. So now she's trying to do that. She was finally able to like make memories from an older age and recapture something she found joy in, becoming sober and doing this and that. So now it's kind of like Justin Bieber going through the same thing right now, maybe at a later age. So like he's living through this life, but he hasn't quite gotten through it. And so maybe if he gets through it, he'll find peace in something else to push him forward and kind of get out of that
Yeah,
stage.
maybe, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is the thing that like I know that okay, so look, I'm not saying I understand this like on the level of Bieber. I don't. But I've gotten a
Right,
taste.
obviously.
I've gotten a taste of it. And so
Yeah,
I have a different experience than you do from like the outside, you know?
sure. Yeah.
And what I'm thinking, what's missing from your equation that you could probably like, I can tell you all this stuff and you can read about it and whatever, but you got to almost try to imagine this. Imagine yourself, even at like a fraction of the level of Justin Bieber. Like the like if you're an independent minded person who's like a little bit off kilter and like you think of things that other people don't think about and you're kind of like but I want to try this thing and then you're the type of person that normally when other people say yeah but you shouldn't do that blah 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 that's whatever
Right.
I've heard that my whole life like so my default is kind of like oh but then I've also heard from like my grandpa like just try things, try whatever, so like that. But I've heard my whole life, like, yeah, but that's very unlikely. That's not going to work. That's blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's that. We all have, right? Now imagine that like you do get success and suddenly you're in a system where it's like you go from I can just make a song or I can make anything, whatever, pick your
Right.
art form, pick your whatever. I can make a thing and I can put it up. And yeah, I'm going to be feeling like, man, I hope this makes money someday. Like, I hope I could do this as a career. But obviously, if I can't, then I'm just going to do it as a hobby, but I'm still going to do it, you know? And then I have control over it. It's me. It represents me. It is what I do. That's what, you know, that's what I'm doing. I make this song. It's my song. It's blah, blah, blah. Now imagine you're in a situation where everybody around you suddenly has an opinion. Like, yeah, but I think this is the single, and I think that's the whatever. And no, you shouldn't do that. That's a little bit too much. And by the way, the only way that this is going to keep going is you got to show up there, 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 and there, and then you got to go and shake hands, kiss babies, do all that, blah 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 blah. And if you don't do one of these things, and it's not really that the thing itself matters. This psychology of it. Like, let's
Oh,
say you're on a big record label.
yeah.
Let's say that you know that this thing that they
Okay.
want you to do has no impact. It's not gonna really help you at all. But the fact is that they have a relationship with a station, and that particular station, they they owe something to because of some other leverage that they have with some other artist. Like they've got other artists on the same label and they've got little deals with everybody. So a lot of the stuff that they're asking you to do isn't actually going to help your art. It's not. It's just things that are expected of you. And then I'll imagine that like there's almost no saying no without a bunch of people getting pissed, frustrated, etc. Suddenly other people start getting paid based on what you're doing, and they start having an opinion because it's like, well, if you do this wrong, they don't say this to you,
Right.
but you know that if you do something wrong and it doesn't, if you do something that doesn't work in you know whatever, like objectively, like doesn't make money or whatever,
Right.
these people are going to get paid less. So suddenly, if they tell you, like, well, I'm the expert because I've been working at this label for 20 years, if you do that, you're likely to cost me money. The problem is that if you stand up for yourself, if you stand up for your vision and your art, because you believe it will work, because, you know, and it
Hmm.
so what I'm saying is, let's say that you stand up for yourself after they told you no, and you just do it anyway, because that was an option, right? Now, here's the
Yeah,
thing.
they're gonna cast you
No,
aside.
but no, but here's the thing. If it works, they're all going to try to take credit for it anyway because they're going to say, well,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you were signed on this big label, right? If it
Yeah.
doesn't work, what they're going to say is, well, we told you it wasn't going to work. So then
Told you so.
once you go through that mental calculus, you go, well, I should probably just do what they suggest because like and here's what happens, and this is the sick trap, and this is why I think people in the industry
Yeah.
get
You're
really,
just.
no, but here's what happens. They get fucked up in the head because let's say I follow your advice. I did
Yeah.
exactly what you said to do, and it didn't work. Even though it wasn't what I wanted to do, I wanted to put out a different song. And I told you that, but I put out the song you said, right? Here's the sick part. They will then go, like, and let's say it doesn't work. They will then go, well, I mean, they don't say it directly like this, but basically the
Right.
implication, the vibe is, well, that's just because your music isn't good enough.
Oh my God.
So they'll never take responsibility. So that's the thing is like all these people in the music industry who tell you what to do, if they're wrong, they don't get any consequences. But if I do my vision and I do what I think and I'm wrong, then they say, well, we told you so. So it's a fucking lose lose. Like you can't, the only way you can win is if it actually goes well. And the problem is that you have to go through like you don't, like I've said to people a million times, most of the big hits in history, this is the funny thing, and they all ignore it. Almost all of the big hits in history, everybody in the industry said no, 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 and then they did it anyway, right? But they can't register that. So they're like they still want their opinion to govern, but when it does govern, they never take responsibility. So they never go, well, you know what? You know what you said? Remember how you before you said maybe the single was that other song, and then we pushed you to do this one? You know what? Maybe you were right. Maybe you were right, and let's try that song that you suggested. What they do is they basically make you feel bad, make you feel guilty, make you feel like you suck, make you feel like you're actually the
Gaslight the hell out of you.
gaslight the hell out of you. And then you know what they say? Maybe we need to bring in a producer. Maybe we need to bring in a different writer. So instead of going
And then
back and saying
and then
like,
they
what
and then
about
they
your
bring in
first
that
instinct?
producer and they bring in that writer and they're like, well, just based on what you've said before, maybe it doesn't go this way all the time. They're like, well, um, yeah, I kind of already like it. Can you send me this and give me
Yeah,
this? And
exactly.
then
But
nothing
it can be
changes,
it
and they
can be
just take
worse than
your
that.
ideas and get the credit for it.
Yeah, exactly. But it can be even more like, yes, that was my example, but that was even a hybrid. Like what they really wanted to do, they would have loved it if like we just said, you know what? Let your most honestly, dude, if and I knew that we could have done this. We could have done this at any time, and especially when we were at like our peak, like our recent, we could have
Right.
said we could have said, you know what? Bring in your best writers. Now we have a deal. We have all this leverage. We can get the best songwriters in the world. I could have said, guys, bring in your best
You're
alternative
you're
rock
good at
writers.
songwriting though. That's the one
No,
thing
but
about you
but
that
whatever. That like, but I believe in
I
what I'm
know.
doing. And I said, and
Yeah.
I could have said to these people, bring in the people that wrote the big hits on the top 10. Bring in these people, like at least give us one or two, and see. Let's see what they got, and we'll just do it. And bring in your
Right.
favorite producer, and it probably like the thing is they would have made that work, because it's too
Right.
many people involved. There would have been other labels involved. They would have made that happen, even if it was like a little bit of like a forced thing. They would have just
Right.
all the radio stations would have been like, well, that's just very compelling. Yeah, like we're going to do that. But but at the same time, you lose your soul. It's like I don't want my catalog to be stained by fucking a bunch of like what is that even? Like I don't want people to go through there and go, okay, now all of a sudden like these people that I followed from the beginning, like that now
Are
they have
not.
this song with like five or six writers that are not them. It doesn't sound like them. It doesn't make any.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it would have worked, but also maybe it wouldn't, and I would lose my soul anyway. Because that's what I'm saying is like they could have done that, and
Yeah.
this thing could have still like flopped, and
It
then
sounds like something extremely hard to, sorry to interrupt, but it
no,
just
no, but
sounds like something that is extremely hard to navigate it.
it's
Like
mentally very. You have
there's
to
like
be a genius.
a million fine lines that you can't see. And like, no matter where you go or where you step or what you do, you're always crossing a line.
Exactly,
And it's like,
exactly. And then you always have somebody who's going to basically like always has leverage over you, always has a little bit of control, always has a little bit of decision making. And I can imagine, this is why I wanted to go back to the Bieber thing. I can imagine that if you're somebody like Bieber, I was trying to get at, what was in my subconscious when we were talking about that a little bit was like going back to the childhood thing. Even if he tries like even if he tries to break out of that, he is so entrenched and enmeshed in that system. Like he's got people that work for the people that work for the people that work for him.
right,
Like you don't even understand. Like he's got a fucking he probably has the equivalent like the amount of money and resources that follow that guy around like a cloud. He's probably
yeah,
got like a small like the town of Park Rapids, who it's like if you took the factory out of Park Rapids. And now imagine
right,
like if you're the person who is the factory, like the potato plant in Park Rapids. And
right,
I know that like if I go fully independent, I'm Justin Bieber. I go fully independent and I just do my thing in the back of my mind, and what everybody's going to be, even if they don't say it directly like this, what they're all really telling you is it would be like taking the factory out of Park Rapids. I mean, imagine that pressure. So it's like even if he tries to reclaim independence, he will. It would. The only person I can think of that's reclaimed a weird kind of independence is like Kanye West, because he basically got himself completely canceled. And now let's
well,
not.
yeah, oh, look,
But let's
yeah,
not get into everything. I don't want to
okay,
get into like everything he said or why he said it or what he said.
right,
I just I don't want to get into that right now. But let's just say like even if you disagree, like let's just say I disagree with it, and I do in many ways, okay? But whatever you think about it, okay, he basically took his factory and he moved it out of town, and everybody got fired. That's basically, and now, I mean, whether he goes a crazy route or not, he's now basically kind of free. I mean, and in a way, like he sacrificed a lot for that weird
yeah,
life, right? But if you're somebody like even Britney Spears, if you're any of these people, even Post Malone, dude, I think Post Malone, like I've seen interviews with him, and I think the reason that he's known as like basically like a big, beer drinking whatever, even though he's like the nicest guy, is I just think that like he's too nice for the industry. Like it's so hard to tell people no in these like mental gymnastic loops that I just laid out. It's so fucking hard. Like even if you think you're the most like hardcore, you basically have to be like a Donald Trump personality where you're just like, I don't give a fuck. I can look at you in the face and say, you're fired, get the fuck away from me. But most of us don't have that. Like I don't have that at all. Like I hate confrontation. I hate dealing with
Right.
people. Dude, I just that whole thing riddled me with anxiety. And so it's like now we actually really are free, but we still have some stuff that we're going to have to wrestle back from the system. But it's like in a way, I don't, I would much rather like do things independently and understand that I'm absorbing the loss of like mass push or whatever, because I
Right.
felt
Yeah,
like
but what
I
happens
put
now though?
myself in that situation in the beginning. I know that I mean, I'm still the same person. I know that I have the ability to reach people, but I'm never again going to let somebody take over part of my business.
Right.
Like
Yeah, but
and I would
right. So
rather
what
suffer the
happens now though
consequences of that.
that you've gotten some sort of independence or freedom, right? Now what happens when you put out another hit at some point because it's inevitable, I feel like you're gonna have them come clawing back. Oh, we're really sorry. You were right.
No, they won't say you're really. No, no, no. Let me. That's a good question, but in my opinion, nobody's going to come back and say they're really sorry. What's going to happen is it's going to be a whole new like format that's going to be much more enticing and appealing to somebody like me because basically I represent, in my view, this is how a lot of basically human art, like this is how artists feel, I think, in 2025.
Right.
I think they're going to have to structure they're going to have to become much more convincing salesmen. They're going to have to give up a lot of control automatically, but they're still going to find a way to slither back in under some kind of a thing where,
Yeah.
especially when you don't have resources. Like if you don't have resources, it's so tempting to take a deal where somebody puts money in your pocket and says like, well, if you do this, then this will happen. And they scare you. It's like even our most trusted people at that time were like, if we don't take a deal right now, they were like, our manager was calling us at 3 in the morning, and we said like respectfully, we said that before, we were like, dude, don't, please don't, like this is so stressful, like because when this thing happened, like all the major labels were calling us, and I'm not saying that to brag, I'm saying that for the record. Like we
Right.
were flown to New York City. We met everybody from Warner, RCA, Republic, Virgin, Fueled by Ramen, Electra. Like every single fucking. We went in there and basically they had us come in and like dance, like basically be like circus monkeys. Like, what do you got? Show us what you got. Like, and some of them were more like, you're gonna be very safe here. This is a very good place. It's very artist friendly, right? Then what
Right.
ended up happening is like our manager, and kind of through his mentor, who was like a big wig in the music business, he is the editor and founder of like one of the biggest industry music magazines in the country, in the world. It's called Hits Magazine, and it's an
Hmm.
inside thing. It's like it's not. It's basically like an, for lack of a better word, it's like an Illuminati of the music industry. So like, but this guy basically controlled our whole thing without us realizing it through our manager, because he was like, he had our. I mean, he didn't have our manager call us, as far as we know. That's just my suspicion, but like, our manager was calling us in the middle of the night, even though we said please don't, and he was like, oh, uh, literally 2 days after we met all these labels, right? And he was like, "Oh, Fueled by Ramen is dropping out. They're out. This and this and is they're out. They're out." And then he was like, "But RCA, who we weren't even expecting to sign with," he was like, "But they had a good deal." He was like, "Oh, RCA though, they're meeting us and exceeding our offer." And and then he was like saying like, well, Lenny, that's the guy. It's like Lenny really thinks, blah blah blah. So then we go into it, and it turns out Lenny had a deal with RCA where he basically was like co-signing us. He was like co-labeling us. So basically, part of our RCA deal was going directly to Lenny. So it's like, actually, did Lenny sabotage? Did he call all the labels and say, drop out now? Yes, he fucking did. I guarantee you that he did. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
remember the first time that we met our manager, who is now our former manager because we finally parted ways, he on because we took that risk, and it's a horrible thing to have to do, but yeah, that's where we're at. We let him go like in end of last year after years and years of feeling like this was just not good. It's just bad,
Yeah.
even though he's like one of our best friends. Like I love him as a person, but I don't know how much like I don't even know what to trust, you know? And it was like
Right.
and it's like when we first met our manager, he was like, "Yeah, Lenny's a gangster," you know? And he said that as kind of like in a joking way, but it's like
Right.
fucking is a gangster. And he's basically like a industry mob guy. I mean, I'm not saying he's actually part of the mob. I'm not alleging that or anything.
Right.
I'm just saying that like that's sort of the he can call people and they will kind of do what he wants them to do because all of these artists get highlighted in his magazine. They get like they put artists in their magazine where they're like rising star, blah blah blah, and it's only people in the industry that read it and they take it as authoritative. So if he says like a band is going to break and something's going to happen, and by break I mean like breakthrough, if he
Right.
says that in his magazine, they listen and they add resources to their artists. And a lot of times he's right, but he's also a radio guy, so he has a lot of connections with radio. I'm telling you, this whole fucking thing, dude, like, I mean, I could go on and on and on about this, but I just can't imagine what somebody who has been enmeshed in this from the time they were kids, especially if they don't have strong like parental things, like apparently Justin Bieber's
Right.
parents were kind of like fucking half-wits. And I mean, I don't mean
Right.
half-wits as in stupid, but like yeah, I'll let my kid fly and be alone with Usher when he's 12 years old. Yeah,
Right.
and then he's gonna hang out with P. Diddy when he's 13 for like a weekend in a New York penthouse. It's like how sick do you have to be to think that that's not gonna be fucking
Like
insane?
detrimental to his mental health at some point.
Like, dude, imagine. I bet you that they had. I mean, again, I don't know this to be true, but like, let's speculate here because there's the whole story of P Diddy like being interviewed. I think it was like between P Diddy and maybe
Did you?
Usher was talking about this and Bieber, where they were like in separate interviews where the picture is like Justin Bieber was brought into this penthouse when he was like on. They basically gave him like power of attorney, and he's like seeing like women getting fucked in the corner and all this kind of stuff. Are you gonna tell me that they didn't have little 12-year-old fucking Justin like over there like in a room with like a 23-year-old woman who was basically like there to kind of like break him in and kind of like, hey, yeah, you're a man now.
Well, don't
Dude,
worry. I'm
what
sure Diddy
12-year-old?
broke him in himself with everything that's come
Well,
out
yeah,
now.
that's
Like, the guy's
that's what I know. That's what but again, I don't know. But I'm just saying, even if you just that's like next level trauma, right? But even if you just take the
right.
thing about like somebody goes and like, hey, here's a grown woman, and you're gonna go into this room with her, and this is gonna happen, and like, yeah, it sounds like when you were 12 years old, you'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah. But like, actually, what
Y-
does that really do to your psyche? I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
like,
Like
it's fucking crazy, dude.
that would mess anybody up. Like you don't see it at the time, right? It's like, oh fuck yeah, like you said. And then you're 30 years old or however old he is now, and all of that shit, all of his life has been that way. And now
Yeah,
he's like sitting here like questioning his entire existence. Like, oh my God,
exactly.
probably abused like his whole entire childhood with shit like that. And it's like, here are my parents, and they're just letting this guy buy me cars and go to these parties and associate with these people. And I'm 13 years old. And, oh yeah, go ahead. And it's like,
Exactly.
who in their right mind would let their child like actually do that without some sort of like conscience or like questioning and be like, okay, is this good or is this bad? Like, is there no like conscience, in their heads that are like, yeah, this is probably going to be pretty bad. We probably shouldn't let them go to a Hollywood, one of the biggest Hollywood parties that are ever thrown every year. And
Well, yeah, or just go hang out with like P Diddy in his fucking penthouse for a weekend in Manhattan. It's like,
oh hey,
have
by the
you
way,
do you not
mom and
know
dad,
anything about P Diddy?
P Diddy bought me a car, Lamborghini.
Oh
He said if
yeah,
I did this, I'd get it. Oh wow, that's awesome. Like there's no weird, you don't find that like weird,
yeah.
like
I just
some
want to
30
hang out
year
with your
old
like
man.
12-year-old kid for a weekend.
Yeah.
And also,
And what
I
I
want
don't
to have like parental rights over him. They said, I mean, the way they described it, they signed over like almost like a power of custody. That's the way they describe it because he was so young that they basically had to do like a, like you are the legal guardian for this several day or what a week might have even been a week. I think it might have been a week, but minimum a
really.
weekend or like a long weekend.
Wow.
Like how
That
sick
is
is that, dude?
that is
And-
wild.
yeah, I mean, I mean, so that's what I'm
Wow.
saying is like the parents, like, but but I mean, it's a combination of like if that's all you've ever known is to have parents that would do that to you, and have these people around you, and be
Yeah.
in this enmeshed system where it's like you're the fucking factory in the middle of town that everybody relies on in your orbit, bro. Like, how would that not make you insane? For me, I would be fucked. I would be fucked if I was. I mean,
That'd be all the pressure from everything. Like that that's a lot, like, to
that's a
take on and
lot.
handle
And then we think
like
like,
that.
oh yeah, then they're on drugs and they're blah blah blah.
Well,
Duh.
right. What do you
And also
expect? Like,
people around you are saying like, I even had conversations where I was always describing like how much I hated to like fly around all these places, and because I didn't really like flying and I really wasn't that comfortable with it. I mean, I got comfortable with it, but I
right.
was saying like this blah 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 blah, and I still remember like somebody, I won't name who in this
Hmm.
context, but they were like, but about like there is this thing called Xanax, and again, I don't know how you feel about Xanax. I don't judge anybody who's done it, but my understanding is that like because it's a benzodiazepine and it's extremely hard to
Hmm.
get off. You basically like once you're on it, to get off is
Yeah,
basically
it
like you
is.
could die, and at the very least you could go really. I mean, you could get fucked because it's
Yep.
and a lot of that they just discovered kind of in the last 5 whatever you plus years. But I had literally somebody who I know, like literally a guy who's like a teetotaler, who like doesn't drink, doesn't do anything, and probably sometimes was like, man, maybe you're having too many beers on the road or whatever. Like this same guy was like, well, I mean, Xanax. So it was like they would have, dude, when my grandpa died, I remember that we were in the middle of a fucking promo tour, and not one person said to me, you know what, go back to Minnesota, like be with your family. This can all be on pause. And and instead it was kind of like everybody got nervous when I told them that this happened because they knew that that's probably what I would do. And then I didn't. And I'm not saying I regret, because I also thought about my grandpa and he would say, nah, don't fucking come back. Just keep going. This is in my mind, what I got from that was like that's what he would do, is that he would like, because he kind of instilled in me this like 99% of people do what, or no, sorry, successful people do what 99% of people are not willing to do. And it's like, and then I thought about that and I was like, yeah, most people would just say like fuck this blah blah blah. But then all these things that we had to do were like to keep, like we got to show up at this station, got to show up. These were obligations that we planned this months in advance. They printed all the posters, everything. Imagine that. Like imagine if like you're gonna do a gig for a radio station, that it's like these Christmas shows or whatever, like things that the radio station is putting on. And imagine if like you committed to that, and they already put it in all their programming. They already have posters all around the town, and it's like, and then you say, well, we're not going to be there. I mean, basically, you're burning a bridge. And of course, you're burning it.
Yeah.
I mean, because they would be like, fuck Flora Cash. Like, they're not reliable. They don't really care about my grandpa. They don't care that he died. They don't care why I went back. They just see it as, well, you know what? He's not willing to put in the work. This was a
Right.
phrase that got shoved in my face a lot. Like, are you willing to put in the work? It's like, yeah, but I don't want to fucking lose my mind in the process, because then what the fuck is the work for, But just
Right.
imagine that. Like imagine that pressure, like for somebody like at the Bieber or the Post Malone, or like it's that times like fucking 2000. It's insane. And I honestly, like, sometimes I think like, how the fuck do they do it? Like at a certain point you've got to do something that makes you feel like you're more in control, but I don't know how you ever really get out from under the thumb. The only way you get out from under the thumb is if you just basically kind of like, okay, my sanity is more valuable than like whatever you
Right.
can offer me. And that's a really hard thing for people to do. Like nobody wants to be irrelevant, especially in like the
Yeah.
entertainment industry. They think, oh, if I'm not always on the top of the charts, if I'm not always competing, I'm gonna just fade into obscurity. So then there's also this thing of like, well, what's so bad about obscurity? Because guess what? All of your fans are obscure. Like, do you have something against obscurity? Do you have something against people that are obscure? Because that's most people. So then you also have to ask yourself a philosophical question of like, are you just acting out of fear of irrelevancy, or are you being an artist? And again, it's like,
Mm.
figure it out, like, and can you have the courage to risk being irrelevant but being authentic, and maybe becoming relevant through your authenticity and obscurity? That's the big risk. That's the big thing that a lot of people are not willing to do. And so they lose their fucking mind and sometimes their soul. I don't mean that literally, but you know,
Right.
if you
Yeah.
succumb to like some blackmail operation like honeypots and shit, where you're like, you're so sort of like, morally bankrupt that you're just like, fuck it, I guess to stay in the club I gotta fucking like abuse a minor or something. Well,
Right.
Jesus Christ, then you're really lost. But I
Yeah.
think I think also,
That,
like with Spress and I, we never really were like, we everybody would like, there would be little things that you felt like could lead you into that freaky world, but because we were a couple, it's just like a basic armor. I
yeah.
think we've talked about this before, but it's just like this basic armor of like,
I
well,
don't
we
think we
can't
have
do,
before.
well, no, but it's like, well, they can't do the normal tact. They can't do the
Right.
normal tactic, because it's like, how would I approach a couple? They basically have to try to turn us into swingers first, and then go from there. But if you're just a single
Right.
person, like a woman or a guy, you have your little
Yeah.
honeypot thing where they can like lure you into these weird situations. So I think we were also just frustrating to work with because we couldn't really be shoehorned into this weird world, and at the same time we were standing up for ourselves too much. and and thank God, because it's, in a way, that was like sort of had to be done. It was like, I know that I'm being too much, but maybe actually that's the best result, because maybe I would be more sane if I wasn't in this fucking world right now. So it's like, grateful for all the people that were good people that did what they could do, but the whole system, it almost reminds me of like politics. When you hear about politicians, it's kind of the same
Yeah.
fucking thing. It's sick. It's
Oh yeah.
weird. So I don't know what
That,
to, I mean, I think that's going away probably, but also some element of it will always be there. In
yeah. I
anything, when
mean,
you start to rise,
it's always gonna be there, I think. But
then
I,
again, like on a
I mean,
different
yeah. I
front,
mean, it's
right?
always gonna be there because a lot of people don't have, that that same willpower to want to be an artist and not be a puppet to the industry. It's like they're chasing the fame and they're chasing the money, and they get, like you said, like Justin, they get so entrenched and so deep in that rabbit hole that so many people rely on them, and they want to keep, that success, that they have no choice. I mean, they'll probably
Yep.
be blackmailed as well. I
If
mean,
they fucked up big time,
and then I
yeah.
think it comes, yeah, and it comes down to being like, um, like you said, are you scared of losing relevance, or, you know, what was it you said? Scared of losing relevance, or is it, or do you have,
Yeah,
or
or
is it,
like, or are you trying to like actually make good art? Are you trying to be an artist?
right? Yeah. So are you scared of losing relevance, or, being an actual artist?
And yeah, you can have both, because everybody doesn't want, like, and that's the thing, is like, I'm addressing that in myself. It's like, I have that in me. That's why I know. That's why I know how, like, probably Post Malone feels, or Justin Bieber. Like, the reason that I'm sitting here like putting
Come
music
on.
on Spotify and shit, and you're not, is because one of us has a greater fear of irrelevance. Okay.
Right.
Like, and I know that I'm manifesting a greater fear of irrelevance. Like, for you, the balance of your fear of irrelevancy does not outweigh a bunch of other things. But for me, my fear of
Yeah.
irrelevancy outweighs some things. Okay. So, it's a balancing act. But the thing is, like, does my fear of irrelevancy like outweigh my integrity? Does it outweigh my artistic integrity? Does it outweigh like
Yeah.
my aesthetic sensibility? No, that's the thing. For me, it doesn't. But for some people, it does. And they're like, you know what? I would much rather start
Probably
singing
not,
other
not right
people's
now. I
songs.
don't know when I'm going to be done here.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sorry, dude. You can go anytime.
No,
But
you're, no, you're fine.
I would much rather, I mean, it would just, I couldn't do the thing of like, I couldn't do the thing of like where I'm just singing somebody else's songs, having somebody else's production, because then what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Go kick rocks? What am I gonna do? Go play in the yard like and pick apples or something? Like what am I gonna do if I'm not doing that? Just showing up
Go
and
sit on
going
the
from
toilet and take your shits and play your phone games.
yeah, and go from
Okay, we're
stage to
done, Cole.
stage.
We got it. Just go in the
Yeah.
studio here, sing these lines, and you're good. Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, you don't even
Yeah.
have to sing that well because we'll just like melodyne it or auto tune it or blah blah blah. Like actually just, give it all you got, do 3 lines, go out, drink a beer, and you know what? You're good, man, but just show up on Monday because we're doing rehearsals. You don't have to be that
And if
good
you're
because
feeling
we
anxious,
hired the
don't
best
forget pop that
musicians.
Xanax we told you about. Okay,
Remember
yeah, I
that
got you.
Xanax? Remember that Xanax?
Yeah, just take
Cole,
that
I,
and you'll be good. I promise.
I think you've had a few too many beers, but I think you might need a beer right now. I think it might be time to have a beer right now. Like
Right.
it'll calm your nerves, and just chill because, dude, we got the best people on this. I'm talking, the guy that did the record for fucking Adele, and the guy that did the fucking thing for Eminem, and then the chick who did the thing for fucking Sabrina Gomez or whatever. Now it's Sabrina
Selena
Carpenter.
Gomez.
Whatever
Sabrina
Sabrina,
Gomez.
whatever
Selena Carpenter and Sabrina Gomez. There you go.
pick your Sabrina. Cole, pick your Sabrina. Here's the deal. Like, we can get either one of those writers, like, for all
Which
their shit and blah,
which
blah,
one?
blah.
You want the red pill or the blue pill, Cole?
And then you know what I say? You know what I'm supposed to say then?
What?
You know what the Cole says that tries to maintain a shred of integrity?
What's that?
Hey, man, I'm still the writer. I was, just because they're on the track, they might have thrown in a few lines, but it was really my idea, it's my song. And that would probably be true. That would probably be true. Uh, but it sounds fucking pathetic. It really does. When I hear people say that, it's like Sabrina Carpenter. I saw an interview with her, and God bless her. I think she's a good positive movement, but she is very much like an industry like. She's been in it since she was like a kid, like that whole thing, and she's been through
An
the
industry
pipeline.
robot.
Well, they call it an industry plant, but whatever you want to
Oh
call
yeah,
it.
yeah, plant.
But the
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is, she's still a human being. I don't like to reduce people down to this, like, oh, they're an industry plant. She's talented, and I guarantee she does have an artistic vision, and I would never want to rob her of that. But when I see an interview where it's like, because she suddenly kind of went from like trying to do her own thing for a while, even though she was still in that world, to suddenly like blowing up, and her whole like aesthetic change, her personality change. She suddenly got like designers working on all of her stuff. She's got choreographers working on all of her stuff. She's got artistic directors working on all of her stuff. She's got 5 songwriters working on all of her stuff. She's got 3 producers working on all of her stuff. And then she does this interview where it's like, people say now that I don't write my own songs, but I really do. It's like I'm in there, and yeah, I have my collaborators, but I'm writing the songs. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
gotta
I
you
mean,
gotta
I
sit
mean,
there and
you are. I
like
mean, maybe you're doing something, but I'm just saying, like,
right, but
that's
you're
what
not
they
really
want.
doing. Yeah,
Somebody's gonna veto you. They want to put you into a room where you come up with something, and then somebody in that room is like, well, what if we tried this? And then your sort of like nice personality is like, yeah, 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 that's better. You're right. And it's like, okay, sometimes that works great. But it's
so you
like,
don't even. Yeah, you have no integrity anymore. It's just like
yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah,
because
that's better.
it's like, what do you get when you, okay, so maybe you can listen to those songs and love them anyway. I get that. Like, I'm not even saying, like, I think a lot of people work really well that way. It's almost like working on an assembly line, or
Yeah,
like working, like, some people work better in teams. I get that.
yeah.
Like, and they're team
Well, there's
players.
definitely. I mean, yeah, there's
I'm not
definitely
a team
something.
player. I fucking hate teams.
Yeah,
I've never been a team. You know
yeah,
that about me. Could I
yeah.
survive on the football team? Could I survive on the track team? Not really. I mean, track was different because it's more individual, but like football, I hated being on a team. I hated somebody else like judging me or being like, you did this wrong or you should do it this way or whatever. It's like, oh, nope, I'm not going to do this. I'll play catch with somebody in the backyard, but I don't want to be like responsible if the whole team goes down. And I also don't want to
Right.
be criticized if I do something wrong. Like, I'm an individual. I don't want to be responsible for this fucking team. So, but some people love teams. So I don't take anything away from people that are like, my artistic integrity is the team. Fine. That's great. That for you, that's your integrity. And that's okay also. But for me, it would be like, I would just be a shell. I didn't write this song. It doesn't, I mean, I like it. It's cool, but it just feels like it could be any song that anybody else is doing because
Yeah,
other people can always write your shit.
you're very much an artist.
I'm not
in
even
your
trying to say
head.
that. I'm
Like,
just saying that
well,
like
no, well,
every
but you are though. You have a very strong like uh a self-worth, and you don't want to, you don't want to end up feeling like you just become some sort of zombie for the industry where you've just like lost your vision. I mean, I wonder what happens though with artists that, that do that, that go that road, like Sabrina Carpenter or
well,
Justin Bieber or all those people, where they, they get all these collaborators. And I think part of that also goes into their psyche because they start out and they get this success, and then all of a sudden, like through this success, all of their own artistic talents and skills slowly just get stripped away. And I wonder if
yeah.
they lose the ability to even, like,
I
you know what
do
I
wonder
mean?
that
Like
if that's a good point, dude. That's a
affecting your
very fucking
personality, and
that's a you know what
because
that
like
is? That's a sad point, but it's a very good point. And please continue.
yeah.
Sorry.
But no, I just wonder though, like, they get to the point and then, they start getting weird, or they start going into this downward spiral. And I wonder if it has a lot to do with the fact that at some point they feel like they're just not, they're not who they were. They're not what they wanted to be, and now they're regretting all this. And man, I should have went this way. I chased the fame. I chased the industry. I did what they wanted to do, and they, so that all goes hand in hand with all the other crazy shit, along with the pressure. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, if I can't do this, there's nothing that you can't do anything wrong. It's basically they bring you into that industry. They let you think that they're going to give you everything that you want, and then as soon as they have control, they strip it from you, and they want to take all reins and and as much credit as you're willing to give them. And the
Yeah.
more credit you're able to give them, the happier they are, because it
Yep.
makes them look good. And it's all just a big power trip. It sounds like just
Well,
a
it
big one
is, but
big
it's also
like,
about money. It's just like I
well,
think these
yeah, but
you
like
know,
just all just control, like so much control within that. Like if you don't do this, like you said, they're not going to tell you outright. They have these certain, it's an implicit, it's implied,
I
like
I
with
think you
what they say. They're
described
not
that
going to
very
tell you
well.
directly. It's just like, okay, well, it's implied, and you know that, and they know you know that, and that's the thing. So they got all this gaslighting going on. Like it's a huge just it's just like a big Cole and Clinton manipulation scheme, just on a giant grand scale.
Well, we should discuss what we mean by manipulation schemes because that can sound bad. But when we were teenagers, literally, like I think, I mean, I'm like a what year and a half younger than you or something,
Well,
but
what
like
are you?
two
I'm
two grades.
37.
Yeah, I'm 35, so 2 years.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
two. I'm 2 years apart, which in high school, in a way, is a lot. Like obviously, like if because I like as I've said before, like you were dry.
I don't even remember what we did for our what we would call manipulation schemes. Well, I
No,
mean, we always
exactly. I know
referred
it's
to them
funny because we
as a
only remember the
as a
manipulate. Like,
joke.
yeah, exactly, we remember that. But I think it was just, I think it was just the fact that we could read people and we sort of understood, especially when you're like a young,
Oh, you know what
rebellious.
it was? It was, now that you bring that back, yeah, it was more or less you and I just sitting there reading the situation and reading the person. Then you and I go delve into this, like we just, look at each other and we're like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And we just knew it, so we just started playing off one another to get
Yeah.
somebody to kind of like
Well, either to do something, either to, I think in many
sounds
ways what
so
we were doing
evil.
was, I think, well, see, the thing is, I don't think it sounds evil, but obviously I'm a little bit coping, I guess. But the thing is, I don't think it was evil. I just think, as I was trying to say, is I think that we understood human psychology, and we do understand human psychology,
Yeah.
and we understood it from a very young age, and we were also a little bit outsiders. Like, we weren't really, I mean, I don't think either one of us, we never really dealt with like the group psychology of like a popular group. But we
Right.
obviously, of course, you deal with group psychology. But I think also that gives you a unique perspective because it's like when you're a little bit on the outside of things, like when you're on the inside of things, you're much more pressured, as we've just discussed with like the music industry. It's like you can think of
Right.
the music industry as a big clique. So it's just like a
Yeah.
clique in high school. Like it's not necessarily bad or evil or anything. Like I don't think that
Yeah.
people in the music industry are actually bad people. I just think that they're in a clique, they're calculating, they want to make money, they want to I mean they want to have a career. Of course they do. Like that's
Yeah.
why I use the analogy about the factory in the town. The whole
Right.
point of that analogy is that like it's not bad that everybody in the town depends on that factory and that they're going to be pissed if it moves. Of course,
Right.
like any one of us would be. We'd be like, fuck that, stay in Park Rapids. I need a fucking job. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's wrong with what I'm doing? What's wrong with the
But
job?
you'd think
Why are you
though,
being a
like
radical asshole? Like,
you'd think
shut
though that
up
like
and do your job, you know?
you'd think though that like well, yeah, right. You'd think though that like being in his position, like Justin Bieber, and he's you know probably an extreme example because obviously even like Sabrina Carpenter, Selena Gomez probably don't have this pull. But
Oh, dude, yeah.
you would
Like
think that
he's beyond
you would
them.
think
He's a
that
great,
Bieber
yeah.
has some sort of pull though. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and he's been so successful that no matter what he did, people would have no choice but to follow him though.
Uh, oh,
You know
uh,
what I mean?
say that last, like, no choice but to follow him. What do you mean by
Like
that?
they like just because you're talking, okay,
Oh, you mean if
he's
he
this
wants to
fact.
break free? If he wants to break
Yeah,
free.
well, but he's this factory, right? And he has all these people behind him, and as soon as
Yep.
he
And
makes a mistake,
relying
or
on him. That's the important
they're
thing.
relying on him. He has so many different people in the industry relying on him. You would think though that he would be able to kind of just do what he wants at certain times, and they have no choice but to follow because it's Justin Bieber. And if
Yes,
they don't
yes,
follow, so that then I think
definitely.
comes down to the industry getting annoyed with that though at the same time.
But what I'm saying is like, okay, this is a great time for an analogy. Okay, have you ever
You,
seen this? Have
oh
you ever
God, this
seen?
is your word of the podcast now is
No, it's
analogy.
not.
I can't. What was it before? Do you remember
Here,
what you were saying
no,
before?
no, no. But I gotta say this because I'll forget. Um,
Okay,
here's a metaphor. Okay, um,
okay,
no, no, no. Actually, it's a stereotype. No, it's an
okay.
archetype. Uh,
Oh my God. Okay.
no, but think about the archetype that you see in a million comedy
Oh, now it's
movies.
archetype. Okay.
Think
Yeah.
about think about the stereotype that you've seen in a million comedies,
Oh,
right?
now it's stereotype. Is it stereotype or archetype?
Did I say stereotype again? Think about
You
the
did.
stereo archetype that you've seen in a million comedies, right? Which is basically
Right.
like let me paint a picture for you.
Okay.
Big, buff, tough guy. I'm talking like, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, I'm talking Triple H, I'm talking
Wait,
The
how does this get
Rock.
into comedy? Are we talking about John Cena's
Let me
wiener
finish.
again?
Let me finish.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you that, like, okay, you're imagining, close your eyes for 2 seconds. Imagine like the buffest, most impressive guy you can who's not you. Close your eyes.
That's hard to do. Hold on.
Imagine
Okay.
Jay Cutler. Imagine Jay Cutler.
Okay.
And
I'm imagining.
imagine that you're seeing a comedy where Jay Cutler goes home and he sees his mom, and his mom is like this tiny little lady who's got a little broomstick or whatever, and she's mad at him or disappointed in him, and he comes from one of those families where like it's common for the mom to kind of just like whack her kid with like a sandal or some kind of thing like that, like like this archetype stereotype of, oh, um, you know better than this. And you see the big buff guy cowering down to his mommy, like, cowering
Right.
down to his mommy, right? You know
Okay.
that that's like a trope that's been used in tons of comedies, right? Like the big buff
Okay.
guy
Right. Right.
who's afraid of his mother. Okay?
Right.
Big
Okay.
buff guy afraid of his mother. That's what I imagined that like but basically what you're saying is like Justin Bieber is like, you're saying like, yeah, but he's Jay Cutler. Like, why would he be afraid of his mother? Why would Jay Cutler? Because
That's a
think
good
about it,
point.
he's so big and buff, and then but he cowers down, or like the elephant that's been tied on a fucking chain, but then you
Okay.
remove
Yeah.
the
Now. Yeah.
chain.
You make sense. Yeah. I see
See
that.
what I'm
And I
saying?
mean that it's not to say that didn't cross my mind. It was
No,
more
no,
or
no. But
less a
I'm
question
not
to see
saying
how you
like
respond.
whatever. Like I
But
set that up in a sort of a
that
cryptic
makes
way, but
sense now. Yeah. I can totally.
so what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
like Justin Bieber,
God,
even if he wants
that's
to
a
hit
good
his mom back or say like, "Hey
that's a
mom,
good
shut the fuck up."
metaphoric, ironic stereo archetype.
Yeah, but it also describes these people because it's like the whole point that you just made is like, well, yeah, but like Jay Cutler's so big and buff, like if he really wanted to, he doesn't have to get whacked by his mom every time he walks in the door. But it's like,
Yeah,
so
just
Justin Bieber, it's
that
like,
just goes to it just
I
goes
mean,
to show you
that's the
like
feeling.
how much power and control they have over people
I think it
within
does. I
that
think that's
industry.
exactly what it is. I think it's exactly that way, especially when you couple that with being a child. That's the going back into the
Yeah.
like being a child, like because the industry takes on a parental role. if you get sort of like
It's
adopted by
like
the
being
industry,
it's like a woman being in a relationship with an abusive husband or an abusive boyfriend. They're scared to
it's
leave for
also
whatever
that. Yeah.
reasons they have
Yeah.
in their head. Yeah.
But
So it's like, and you
that's an
wonder why. You
easier,
just think
but
about it. You just think about it like, oh, why doesn't she just leave him? And for some
exactly,
people
exactly.
and the situation, it's just not that simple because whether it's, like some sort of mind game or some sort of weird programming that has happened to them over the years. So
Yep.
it's, yeah,
Yep. Yep. And actually the weird thing is that the whole like the metaphor of like the abusive wife or husband or whatever,
right,
actually easier for people to digest that, I think. It's like that's I think a way that people like I think when you tell them that, they go, "Yeah, of course, that makes sense, right? That makes sense." But when you tell them no, it's like the mom that beats Jay Cutler. It's like the little granny who's like whacking her grandson and and he's like this big fucking powerful guy. When you
right.
tell people that, because I don't think anybody's told people that, but when you bring it to that level, it's almost like, oh God, that's really scary. Because it's like, what are you? You're never gonna lash back at your mother. You're never gonna. You may stand up for yourself sometimes, and you may say,
Right.
"You don't understand me, mom. Fuck you." And then you walk out, but you come back for dinner. You know what I'm saying? You come back for dinner, like when you get hungry out there and she
Oh
turns the
yeah,
light on.
like what they say, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Oh yeah. And guess what happens? Guess what happens if you lash back at your mother too much? If you have a controlling mother. Now I'm not saying because I
You
didn't
whip
have a
those
mom like
biceps out and show them.
that. But let's say that you do that. It's like if you have that kind of mother, she's also the kind of mother who's likely to say, "You know what? Yeah, get your own apartment. I know you're only 17, but yeah, try it out. See how it goes. See how it goes for you." And they're actually willing to let
Yeah,
you go out there and like fend for yourself or whatever. And what do you
yeah.
inevitably
Well, yeah,
find? Oh, it's cold out here. It fucking
because they have.
sucks. So what is Justin Bieber
That's
gonna
what you
do?
find
He's
out.
gonna come home. He's gonna come home.
Yeah,
He's
because the
coming home.
industry, right? They have so many people under their thumb that
Yes.
they have nothing to lose. I guess even if it's Justin Bieber, it's like, okay, well, you go do your thing. We're gonna make it look really
Yep.
bad so that you can never come back.
Yep.
And when you do, we're
Yep.
not gonna make it easy.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
wild, man.
perfect. And also, like, think about the paparazzi element. Like, these
Yeah.
people can manipulate the paparazzi to say, you know
Oh
what,
yeah.
Justin's going through a big. They give them a tip. I bet you. How many times do you think like happens? Like somebody like Justin Bieber says, "Nah, I'm not doing it," and they go, "That's cool, Justin. Like, you know what? Do your thing, man. Like, I get it." And then all of a sudden, that same guy gets on the phone with the fucking paparazzi guy, and whatever, and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm an anonymous source. I have insider information that Justin and his wife and his kid are going to be heading for a road trip tomorrow at 11:30. So make sure, and they're going to be going to this like national park. Make sure that you're there." And then these guys wonder like, how did the paparazzi know I was going to be there? It's like, well, maybe. And also then they go insane, like, oh my God, the paparazzi's driving me nuts. It's like, dude,
Right.
maybe mother is setting you up so that you fucking do go a little bit insane and you come crawling back to mother and you say, you know what? My life's gonna suck anyway, so I may as well fucking come and just, drink the sauce, drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
wild.
yeah. That's what I
And
think is
it's
going
so
on.
true. But that's just, yeah, and I think that is what's going on, and obviously has been going on. But it's just crazy to think that, I mean, not to say that obviously, it's, I mean, you'd have to be, living under a rock to be completely oblivious to it and not at least consider it. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. But I
it's
think
just like,
it's a good way of framing it because I think the public and people who have never had a taste of that world, it's just so hard because the reason I even brought this up, remember, was because you were describing, I mean, like you were describing from your perspective, like about like getting back to like trying to get back to a state of normalcy and
right,
even just recently like an abusive girlfriend. But it's like,
right,
no, you imagine you don't have a state of normalcy. Imagine the system that I just laid out for you is what they're experiencing, but worse. And imagine that it's not your girlfriend, but it's your mother. that's the that's the fucking thing, man. Jesus Christ! Like it's fucking. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Honestly, I really wouldn't. It's. I mean, maybe my worst enemy. Yeah, probably. Actually, honestly, yeah, I probably would. But like,
Like here, experience this for a bit, see how you feel
yeah, see how you
when it's
feel, man.
over with.
And I just think like people are. That's also why I sort of refrain. Like I get like yeah, I'll see the celebrity gossip thing and I'll click on it once in a while. But
Right.
honestly, when I look at those people, and it can be actors also, same thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think they have it less so, but I think that's just because of the conventions of what they do. I just because they don't have to put out. I mean, granted, they get
Okay,
into their
so
cycles, but they don't have to put out shit all the time. You know, I
right.
don't think they're, but they still have the agents, which is like, if you don't take this role, you know, this is a defining role. And a lot of the great actors, what do you hear all the time? It's like, I mean, I've heard shit from my manager didn't tell me about this, and I called and got the part myself. To my manager said if I didn't take this role, it would be the worst thing that ever happened to me, and then I did, and it was actually way worse than if I hadn't. You know, I mean, it's the
Right.
same thing, but just on a different level. You know, it's or not a different level, but like just different, details.
Getting ready.
But you
Okay.
were gonna say something.
Yeah.
You were gonna say something.
Oh, I was gonna say, so going back to the kind of the same thing, but why is it though that like with the Morgan Freeman and people who get famous later on in life don't seem to have that really issues with stuff like that? So what does that come down to?
Well, that's what I'm saying, because they've already had a fucking life. Dude, listen. I have to believe. I have to believe. Like, I know you. I know your flaws, and you know my flaws, and like, we
Right.
both know our trigger points, and you have trigger points I don't know about, because
Right.
I've never been a woman in a relationship with you. I've never been your son. I've never been your mother. I don't know all your trigger points. You don't know all mine, but I know the ones I've seen. You know the ones you've seen from me. I genuinely still, like, I believe that despite your flaws, and like despite my flaws, I believe that if you got famous in the next 6 months or 10 months or 12 months or a year, 2 years, whatever, I genuinely think like I think that you would have a very good chance of handling it well. I think there's like
Right.
all of your life experience up till now would give you this opportunity to be like, you know what, like just even if we just pretend like this conversation had an impact, like even if you're just like,
Right.
I remember everything Cole said, all this stuff that you learn along the way, if all of a sudden shit pops up and you're like, you know, on top of the world, like, you know enough now to be a little bit humble, to understand how other people look at this, not be so desperate, not be such a prick, not you know, think like, hey, maybe I'm gonna help my fucking mom and my grandma out, and like maybe I'm gonna help my kids out. Like I'm gonna do this right. Doesn't mean you don't get a
Right.
little inflated. I bet I could talk to you and you'd be like a little bit like,
Fucking
you
flag,
know,
fuck.
yeah, dude, like, you know, and probably believe some of your own hype. Like, I get it, and
Right.
I'm the same way. Like, I believe some of my own hype. You would too. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's self-esteem. That's fine,
Yeah. There's
because
definitely something there with
the
yeah.
hype is warranted. You know, like when you were like so fucking like top of the charts on Halo or whatever, like you had a good reason to believe your hype because it was fucking true. It was bulletproof. But like, I don't think that you would totally lose your shit, and I think that that's exactly what it is for like Morgan Freeman and all that. Like, they've experienced rejection and normalcy. Like,
Yeah.
they walked to the grocery store a billion times without being recognized in all the years before they got famous. So it's like,
Right.
of course, like, they're not going to suddenly lose empathy for the common man or the common woman. But so yeah, that's what I think it is. I mean,
Yeah. So
I think
yeah,
it's that
the life
simple.
and yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, all the life experience you've already had is like, okay, yeah, done this, done that. You felt the life of being what a normal person.
Right.
So it's like going into that, maybe you have expectations or things that obviously come unexpected, but yeah,
Of
you're
course,
able
of
to kind of
course. Yeah, and you're
handle
gonna
it
have
in a
things that
more
you
mature way from your, your past experiences as opposed to being a child, right? And getting into it right away and not
exactly,
having really any idea or even a fully developed brain
exactly.
and going in to something that you have no idea what it's about. And that's the whole point of it, right? That's the whole point of taking it and why they take advantage of those kids because they milk them for money, they milk them for fame, they milk them for everything they can. And
Yeah.
the kids too young to realize like, wow, this is not good. This is like abuse
No,
in its own way.
no.
But
And they also feel like this immense I mean, think about this too. Like, think about how you thought of grown-ups when you were a kid.
Right.
I mean, you thought these
Yeah.
people knew everything. I mean, because you didn't fucking know. And then it's like, imagine if you're already a grown up. Let's say you're post 25 and your prefrontal cortex is fully developed. It's like, well, I'm a grown up amongst the grown ups. Like, I know how we are. I know how people are. I know what the deal is. But imagine if you're like, you know, even if you're humble, actually, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, humility could fuck you up too. It's like if you're humble and just like, wow, the grown-ups, or if you're a cocky asshole, and
Right.
regardless,
Well, I
it's
mean,
a very tough
it's
thing to
I mean,
navigate.
it's definitely true to say that, or or I guess this is, how I've always thought it, based on people's action and how they are, when they're older.
Yeah,
Obviously, people change and things like that, but a lot of personality and the way you are, you are shaped by your own experiences, at a young age. I mean,
yeah, for
from the
sure,
moment
for
you're
sure.
born, everything around you, all the people you
Yep.
meet, all the people that have wronged you, everybody, you know, the authority figures that have wronged you, authority figures that haven't wronged you, but you gain this sort of like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that, but fuck, I lost my train of thought. But no, yeah, you
Yeah,
were shaped by not just your parents, but you were shaped by everybody around you, your
yeah,
friends, your
yeah.
parents, coworkers, the authority
And
figures that you've met.
you had some agency in that, but it's like it's
Yeah.
hard to make good choices sometimes, like
Yeah,
given
but
all
yeah,
of these surrounding.
you were definitely shaped by your own experiences, and I think people are, the main, are what shape you. So yeah, imagine being their age at a young time and being shaped by these perverts and these
Yeah,
freaks that you see as, oh yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. And then you get older and all of this shit starts coming back to you and you think about it and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? This is
exactly, exactly.
not
It
how.
just even at the time,
Yeah,
I
and you
mean,
go through like this midlife crisis. I feel like, or you go through this stage where they've all gone through these stages where it's like either they come to this realization because the pressure is built up so much, and it's like, oh my God, I can't handle this. I don't have the experience to handle it because they've never grown up being able to handle these experiences, and it's thrown on you so fast and so much at one time. It's like just a crazy. I couldn't imagine the crazy amount of pressure that like
nor could I. Nor
that's
could I.
wild.
Honestly, it stresses me out to think about it. So I
Absolutely.
do have a lot. I guess
Babbler.
like going back to that further point, like the thing I said about celebrity gossip and stuff. It's like, bro, once you start to think about that, it's just, every time you see something like that, honestly, I think one should just respond with like, man, I don't even know what it's like to be them. Even if somebody says, honestly, and this is a little bit of a hard discipline, but even if you see somebody who's like famous who gives a really stupid like political take where you're like, even if you're like, I didn't, I mean, you weren't famous from the time you were a kid, you should know better, blah, blah, blah. It's still like, imagine if you're fucking Brad Pitt. Like, imagine if you're fucking whatever. Like, imagine if you're Elon Musk. Like, just to be like at so much the center of people's attention is,
Yeah.
it's gotta fuck with your head. Like, it's just, you can't, it would be so hard to even have a
Well,
normal
because
conversation with
you're
anybody.
you're so known
And also you have
by
so much
so
that you could give somebody. Imagine like if you
yeah.
were talking to me and I was a billionaire, even if we were just like even if we were just like we are now, like in terms of like how much we respect and what there in the back of your mind you'd be like, bro, I mean, you're a billionaire. Like where's my like give me a house, dude. Like what like we could never have a normal conversation unless I did that. And then if I did that, we still couldn't have a normal conversation because it'd be like I bought you a house. Now you owe me. Now I have something over you. That's the thing
Holy
too, is like
Christ.
people think like, oh yeah, he should help his friends or he should do this or that. And it's like then all of a sudden he does that, and guess what? Now all of a sudden everybody's kind of kissing that guy's ass. It's like, well, he did do this for me, and dude, no matter what, again, it's like
Yeah.
a rock and a hard place. It's like, but imagine if you're a fucking billionaire or a millionaire. Imagine it
Right.
just even if you're like, well, I don't have a car, and it's like now our whole conversation, you're gonna just be thinking in the back of your mind, like, man, he knows I don't have a car, and he could buy me a car. So what am I doing? Like, why am I even talking to this fool? Like, what an uncompassionate asshole. And it's like, what the
Well,
fuck do
it's
you do in that situation?
I think the people like that though, the people that are like that are ones that aren't really. I feel like you yourself or somebody else, even me, depending whatever, right? It's like I don't think I would ever want to even ask that question or put that on anybody because it's if somebody is willing to do that to you and say they're a good friend or you've been friends with them for years, like you or I would automatically think like wow, this is not he's not who I thought he was. Like I thought this was a friend. That would automatically, I think, put a very um like distaste in
Yeah,
my
no,
mouth.
exactly,
You know
exactly.
what I
But
mean?
then,
So
but
that's
I'm
why it's
saying,
like okay,
but
I
imagine
say
that
like
somebody,
say I ask that, you're automatically going to be like taken back, like what? And at the same time,
but it's also going to be all I can ever think about because it's going to
right?
be
And
like
then
every time I think about you or somebody like that, I'm going to be thinking about like that I did that thing. And even if I did that preemptively, even if I was like I'm
right,
just going to, what you don't understand, like what people don't understand about human psychology is that's also the same thing that psychopaths and sociopaths do to establish dominance. It's like,
right,
even if you don't ask me for something, if I give you something out of the blue, that's my way of saying, now you owe me. Now I'm better than you.
right,
Now I'm like in a
yeah,
power position. That's the
yeah,
fucking twisted, horrible thing. And that's why it's also like with family, it's different. But even with family, you got to be careful because it's like some family members are just going to be geared, it's going to feel transactional no matter what you do. It's just like,
right,
but somebody like your sister-in-law or whatever, like some, or like your mother-in-law or like your mom, or I mean, and even if you have a weird mom, that could be weird, but like just like I just understand like these people's brains have to operate at such a fucking weird level all the time, and they have people around them all the time who either work for them or need something from them or want something from them or are wondering why they didn't get something from them. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy, dude. And normal people
yeah,
don't live that way. Normal people, like the way that we live as normal people is like, I have limited resources. You have limited resources. I'll help you out. You help me out. Like I mean, if you need me to like check on your mail when you're away, I'll do that. And like, hey, it would be cool if you could walk my dog.
right,
I have to go to a thing, but you don't make it like transactional. Like, well, because I
yeah,
did
right.
your
It's like
mail,
well,
I
and
did your
you
mail, and
can't,
now
and you,
you got to
I mean,
walk
if
my
you're
dog.
taking that in a transactional way, right, then okay, that's weird on that person, but it's like okay, that is a simple friend favor. That's something that friends do for each other, But yeah, like the here, by the way, Clinton, um, bought you a house, and then it's kind of like hold on, wait, what? And then you don't know how to feel about it, and it automatically makes things awkward
Yeah,
because
it
then
would
it's like
never be the
even
same. Like something like that would mean like that it would never be the same. The only way it would ever be mildly the same is if one day you just like fucking like got, I don't know, you did your thing and did some crazy thing and you were like, "Hey man, guess what I just bought you? Another house. I bought you a house now." And then
it
we'd be
sounds like
like,
it, it sounds like one of those. You ever watch that Key and Peele?
dude,
Have you ever seen that dumb shit?
I've never
So,
watched like their full things, but I love their clip. Like I love their.
it sounds like
They've got some
something
good
that it sounds
skits.
like a skit they would do. Like do you ever see the one where they do those hats? They come out with like there's like this skit where like one comes out with a hat and one has like a normal hat and the other dude has like his hat on and he's still got the sticker on it and the guy's like, oh, I got a new hat, huh? And then so they go back and forth in the thing, and by the time they get to the end of it, they're trying to outdo each other with how new the hat is. So the dude comes out literally with like a hat that's like still in plastic casing, not taken apart or nothing, and he's like wearing it right on the top of his head with the hat encased in the thing, and they're just like going like just back and forth to each other, looking at you like trying to one up each other. It sounds like something that. Oh yeah, by the way, man, I just bought you a house. So now it's like,
Is it the
and then in your mind
hats
you're thinking,
duel?
oh, you're trying to oh, you think you got money now. Now you're trying to balance the balance the power here. Okay. And then all of a sudden 2 weeks later you're like, hey Clinton, check this out. Look at this car I bought you. And then I'm like, fuck. No way.
I mean,
Like
let's be
seriously?
real though. It would be nice if either one of us could actually do that for the other. That would be pretty sweet. But that being said,
Mr. Beast. Imagine how much freaking uh what is it? Power he has over all his friends' heads and his little minions he has now.
Yeah,
It,
exactly.
when you think about it in that way, like
Yep,
that's a control
I know.
thing.
Yep, yep.
That is I can't remember what I was watching, but like a psychology thing or whatever. That is like his need to feel like he's helping people, to be like have some sort of power or control over people, to like make himself maybe feel better in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
yeah, possibly. I
whether
mean,
or not
but
there's some deceptive motive behind it is, irrelevant. But it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, here, I give this money to this person. Here, I'm going to put on this contest. You're going to win $100,000 for this simple thing. Here, let's start this, whole contest, and you win it, and you win $1 million or whatever. And he's just like giving money away. It's just like I don't know. I don't know.
again, I don't
That
want to
would be
judge somebody's
it just sounds like a weird
motivations,
power play. No, no, not at all.
but
I'm
I'm
just
just
saying,
saying,
like,
like,
there's things
yeah,
behind it,
no, exactly,
that you
and I
could,
think that's a good point. That's a very good. But the thing is, regardless of whether that is the case, right? Again,
right. But
like, that's the whole point. Is
which
like,
honestly, I mean,
imagine. I'm saying, imagine if
go
he
ahead.
doesn't feel that way. I'm saying just as a
Right.
hypothetical. I mean, he probably
Yeah.
does, but let's just say he doesn't, right? Still, that's going to be the underlying psychology that's happening in all of, or at least some or most of his, like, quote unquote subordinates. Like, regardless of his intention, that dynamic is going to create that kind of feeling amongst people. So it's like,
Yeah.
even if you have the best of intentions, like, because again, you were saying, like, yeah, it's a power play. Okay, it probably is, but let's pretend it's not. It's still how it's going to be, sort of like the overall,
Yeah.
like,
Even if it's not, even
zeitgeist.
if there's no motive behind it, it's not some sort of power play. It's like it still sets that precedence and
It's
that
going to be felt
atmosphere.
as a power play by a lot of
Yeah.
people in
Re-
his orbit, you know?
regardless, yeah, of whether or not, you're his best friend and he does that for you. Like, there is some psychology behind that that's going to make that best friend or make those friends feel that way
Almost resentful.
unintentionally.
Almost
Yeah.
resentful. Like, and that's the scary thing about human psychology is it's like you'll, like, that friend, let's say, would feel resentful subconsciously, but then
Yep.
their conscious mind would be like, but I have to be, but it was so nice that he did that. I'm grateful, and even subconsciously you feel grateful because of course
Yeah.
that's relevant. But basically, you're going to be, it's going to be very hard for you to resolve the discordance. You're going to be like feeling resentful on one hand because it's like, who do you think you are? But you're also going to be feeling like, I actually am grateful and I really needed this. And then it's like, for most people, that battle that's happening in their subconscious, it manifests as a weird cognitive dissonance. So they never
Yeah.
really reconcile
Kind
it,
of
they never
like,
put it together, but they just choose one. And the problem is,
yeah.
both are true. Like, it's not fair to just be resentful. And it's also like, it's okay. Like, and you should be grateful, actually. So so
Right. So
so
then
in,
you've
oth-
got
so in other
this.
words, but on the other hand, it could be a power play, and it could be like, it is kind of humiliating or whatever in a way. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to feel both ways. So how do you reconcile those? And that's, I guess,
Yeah.
like,
I don't, I
healthy
don't,
psyche
I don't,
development or something.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you would reconcile something like that.
It's weird.
I don't think it can necessarily be reconciled,
It's just
but
gonna be there simultaneously, I
yeah, and
guess.
it's just something that you'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta, okay, whatever.
Actually,
I
the
think,
only way to reconcile it would be to almost like talk about it very bluntly and frankly,
right.
right?
And yeah,
Which would be
just
hard.
like, if somebody, like, small town or whatever, comes out or whatever, and they're like, dude, and I'm like, what? He's like, check this out, I'm making a new Dagobah. You're like, bro, what's going on right now? Wait, what? And then it's like, you've got this thing in your mind where it's like, hold on a second here. No, I'm totally fucking with you. I just had to bring it up.
By the way, about
Here it comes.
Dagobah,
So what's going? Any updates on it? Is it
but
still a thing, or?
but you saw the picture where it got cleared out, right?
Yeah, you sent me those. I actually
Yeah.
still, I have them. Where do I have them? They're saved on my phone somewhere. I have them in somewhere in my files on my phone.
I mean, it turns out Dagobah. So that's the beautiful thing, is like, Dagobah is not quite as wet as, like, I would have thought, but at the same time, there is, like, part of Dagobah is literally Dagobah. So it's like that's going to be the thing. It's going to be like a little attraction, like for insiders only, where you
We
basically
should turn
the
it in.
reenactment of
We
Yoda's
should
hut.
make a theme of it, bro. You know how cool that would
Oh,
be?
dude, hold on. Just remember, other people may be watching. This is too good of an idea. We should.
Oh,
I
yeah, yeah,
already know
yeah.
where you're going.
But
But no, but seriously, yes, yes, Dagobah is going to be amazing. And this has no affiliation to Star Wars. It's just code name Dagobah. It's going to be a very cool spot.
codename Dagobah.
But first
Yeah,
step is
keep that
putting
on the hush
something.
hush.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly.
are you still planning on doing it though? Like
Yeah, but
getting
I'm
it set
that's
in
a
stone? Like is it
absolutely,
like one of
dude.
those things that's set in stone, like for you, like future
Yes.
wise? Like okay, I'm
Yeah.
doing it, it's getting done.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
do it,
that's
and everybody's gonna think it's stupid, and everybody's gonna tell me no, and that's what's just gonna happen because it's like I refuse to not allow that to happen unless I literally
that's
physically
so
cannot.
that would be so that would be so epic. Like
Like, and I can't guarantee like
dude,
I don't,
do you know how much like just the spot that it's in, like how much nostalgia and childhood and like memories that'll bring back that we'll be able to like talk about like at some point in time, you know, you'll be back visiting and it's going to be there and we will be reminiscing about do you remember this, do you remember that, and like we'll be sitting there, we'll like be 50, 60 years old and like just chilling talking about the movie that shall not be named because it's not about Star Wars, it's just the code name, but yes.
yeah, dude, I know, and that's the thing is like I can imagine bringing in somebody who's like an ultra nerd, like just somebody who's just kind of willing to do it for I believe in trying to find somebody who's like just wants to do it but and then paying them like making it a good experience like bringing them there and like whatever
Are you
but
serious?
I don't want to pay some fucking like I could never pay like some Hollywood guy but I'm saying like you take some nerdy whatever 20-year-old and you just put out this thing on some like platform like some job platform and you say like I need you to help.
Are you actually considering something like that?
I'm talking about a recreation. Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah,
That
yeah.
would be wild.
It has to be that.
Stop that.
It
I don't
has to
know,
be
man. You
that.
don't think that's a little eccentric?
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. That's why everybody's going to tell me not to do it. But I'm saying like I would like it. I want that to exist. So
Well, of course, but it's like
that's the only
that
metric.
would be well, now I have to hold you to it because now I have expectations.
What the
So
hell
now
did you
I've got to
think I
hold
was
that
talking
over
about?
I've got to hold that over your head. You can't back out now.
I'm not going to back out of that.
No, that's crazy. I didn't like are you honestly like thinking of going that route with that?
Well, I'm talking about that little tiny part that I'm saying this like you'd have to go in
Right.
like this little clearing of woods and it would just
Right.
be like
Yeah, and
one
that's kind of
single.
what I was imagining.
Yeah, and everything
Oh
else would
my
just be
God.
like standard and normal and whatever. But
Right.
like that little thing would be like and then the question
That
is
would be
like,
like VIP access right there though.
oh, but that would just
That's good.
also be like I mean, that would just be like a fucking fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And also how trippy would that be, dude? That
That would
needs
be
to happen.
wild.
You almost need like an animatron to like
Oh my God. Hey Lucas, what do you got for me? Ooh, yes. Dagobah it will.
Death is
Bro.
a natural part of life.
Jesus Christ. Oh man, that'd be wild.
I'm just trying to think of
It,
like Yoda's final speech to Luke. 'Cause that's like
oh
the epic
God.
thing. You want him
Wait,
in that blanket.
are are in which one was that?
Return
Was
of the
that
Jedi.
that was in Return of the Jedi, right?
That's
When
why
he
it's my
goes
favorite.
to
That's actually
when he
why it's my favorite. I love the Dagobah
I
stuff.
thinking back on it, um that
It's the
part
most lore we got in a way.
well
Like
yeah,
because they
and that part of
established
the movie I
Yoda
think is
like
the
in
I
that
feel like
way.
that part of the movie for me is like the most like storytelling part of the movie. Like because
Well,
like right there
philosophical, spiritual.
right, because right there you learn like Luke finds this out and then he learns this and he doesn't know that and then he learns all this and it's like everything that he equates to, or everything that he becomes successful with, has everything to do with that one little 10-minute snippet of that movie. Everything that he ascends to is because of that. I feel like one part of the movie, and of course,
Yeah.
you've got everything before it, but like that is
Yeah,
like a
of
main
course.
focal point of the movie. I think as of to where he learns and finally ascends to where he needs to be. Like that's like the main thing.
Yes, and also even just dealing with the loss of Yoda, like this really like fuck man, I already
Yeah.
lost Obi-Wan, now it's Yoda. Like there's this moment where the way that
And that's also
that
that's a
happens
good
to him is
telling
like he
point,
becomes
though.
a man, in a way.
Yeah, that's like his. If he was out in Africa or wherever they have those tribes, that was his. That was his manhood right there. He became a man, a
Yeah,
Jedi, a man
initiation.
Jedi.
Yeah, that was his big initiation actually in a way. You
But
know,
okay, getting off being stupid or whatever. But that was really, though, I think, a good test, right? Because he goes out there meeting this random, and he learns to like appreciate this Yoda, and then somebody close, or I would think that maybe Yoda wasn't close to him, but his first hardship in dealing with like death and how he handles it through the Force type of deal.
dude.
Not that it was probably very emotional for him, but like a stepping stone, and like, okay, it wasn't like somebody like Padme passing or having these dreams or whatever, but
Well,
um
no, but in a weird way it is. I mean, I was saying it's obviously not the same thing, but like it
what do
is
you
a
think?
fucking it's a big
Do you
deal,
Yeah. Well, even
It's not the same, don't get me
even
wrong, but
well, no, well, next point then, because that was the first time. Then you have Obi-Wan, who I think
Obi-Wan the
Luke.
first time.
What did he pass before Yoda?
No, but Obi-Wan died in the first like old Star Wars movie. He died in A New Hope. Remember, he said to Vader, "If you
Oh,
strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly
oh, see, I thought
imagine."
that was in. I was thinking that was in Return of the Jedi.
No, no,
So
no,
no,
but
you're right.
that's
So
the
that
reason you're
so
confused is because Obi-Wan continues to appear in all of them as like a Force ghost.
oh
So
yeah, that's right.
it
So
feels like he's there.
that was really the first test,
And he was like, "No!"
right? But he didn't let it affect him,
Well,
right? And
no,
then
but
he
it
got to
did
go to.
affect him. But of course it did
Well, yeah,
affect
but
him.
well,
He
right,
was
but I mean,
angry. Sure, he was
but in the
angry.
sense that he didn't,
He
go
hated
off
Darth
the deep
Vader.
end, like,
Think about that. He watched Darth Vader kill his only like mentor besides his horrible uncle. I
yeah,
mean,
who
like
was,
that's anger. That's anger, dude.
yeah, but
What were you gonna say?
in say,
Who's what?
in saying that though, I was just getting to the point, like when you compare Anakin, um, getting close and afraid of losing his loved ones like his mother, and like Padme, um, with Luke, right? Obi-Wan kind of became a father figure for Luke in that sense. I feel like
Yeah, he definitely did.
Obi-Wan treated Luke more like a son than he did with Anakin, and maybe that was a realization that Obi-Wan had.
Yeah.
And this is nothing that's even probably been talked. Well, maybe it's been talked about. But it's obviously not like canon, right? But like if you get deep into it, thinking about it, like Obi-Wan, like maybe he could have come to the realization at some point that I can't make the same mistake and treat him the way I treated Anakin, because there was my downfall. I need to be, and Obi-Wan was obviously older at this time as well, and able to take on maybe something more of a father figure because he was older, right? So he was able to handle that. So maybe because he did treat Luke more like a son than he did
I'm gonna
with
push
Anakin.
back on this big time, dude.
All right, I'm done. That was my spiel. Go for it.
I'm going back into Obi-Wan is the bad guy here. Okay, so
Oh,
here's what
okay.
I'm gonna say. If you look at it, the whole interaction between Obi-Wan and Luke is basically Obi-Wan manipulating and using Luke. So it's literally like let's think about it. Let's go back, right? So the first interaction that Luke has with Obi-Wan, he's returning a droid to Obi-Wan, which is R2D2. And when he
Right.
returns the droid, of course Obi-Wan saves him because he's a Jedi and he's a good guy and he knows Luke and he's been watching him and all this stuff and blah blah blah. Fine. There's
Bro's got
nothing
his
wrong with it.
conspiracy theories going into
No, no,
Star
but,
Wars
but
now.
here's the thing.
All right.
Here's the thing. Luke then shows Obi-Wan the message. Obi-Wan is not acting very fatherly up to any point. I mean, he did a nice deed, and he says, come on into my shelter because the Sand People are around or whatever the fuck. He's in there, and Obi-Wan. Well, actually, no, it's because Luke says that here's your. Yeah, I mean, and then they go back and look at the message. He sees the message. He sees Leia. He needs somebody because he's old and he's Obi-Wan and whatever, and like this is a little bit of retconning because I think Obi-Wan would have acted differently if George had made the other movies first for real. I think I think his personality would be different, but okay.
Probably, yeah.
So, but let's just say that it all makes sense, right? Or whatever.
Okay.
Obi-Wan literally is like, first thing he thinks is like, Luke, you're the guy. You gotta come with me. I need you, an old guy like me. I can't do it. He's literally just like, in his Jedi mission once again, and he's willing to use anybody that he has to fucking accomplish his goal, which is like, here we go, the princess is in trouble, I have dual responsibilities, now I've seen this, I have an obligation, and Luke's here, now I'm gonna just fold him in, and I'm basically putting his life at risk, and I'm doing this whole thing.
Sure, but
and then every interaction, like, he's never really fatherly. All he's doing the whole time is convincing him to join and saying, like, if you don't, you're gonna regret it, and blah blah blah, essentially. And then after that, it's all just training. He was never like a father to Luke. Actually, if anything, he was just a fucking, like,
I don't know. I feel like I have pushed back on this now because I don't think that there was some just coming off the demeanor in the movie and the way the acting was. For me, I had a sense of he's not using Luke to get the job done, right? Because Obi-Wan, even when Luke was a child, knew that a balance of power between the light and the dark they finally needed to, but it's not like he sat there, twiddling his thumb saying, I can use Luke for this. It was more or less Obi-Wan saying, this is his son. I need to make sure that he turns out to be this is Anakin's son. Sorry, this is Anakin's son. I need to make sure Luke turns out to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like have a good head on his shoulders for what I know he's going to encounter, throughout his trials and tribulations, trying, getting to what they need him to do. But I don't think they're Obi-Wan necessarily, because if you talk about Obi-Wan, then that wasn't just Obi-Wan's doing, right? That's the whole Jedi Council. That, they knew Luke was the one, and I don't think they had any.
No, they thought Anakin was the one. They thought
Anakin was the one, but after that happened, right?
Because it was a prophecy misread may have been.
Well, right, but Jedi don't know. They don't know everything. And I think they came to the realization at some point that he could potentially be the one to finally bring balance and peace again, right? And so they needed to make sure that he had a good head on his shoulders. I don't think all the Jedi Council, like I've already mentioned before, with Obi-Wan specifically, were sitting there like, ooh, we can now use him. We can, yes. Like it wasn't something or Yoda sitting there and being like,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
him we will.
No, listen. Okay, listen. It's a little more subtle than that, but you make good points. Okay, what I'm trying to say is I don't think Obi-Wan's a bad guy. I mean, that was a little bit more for like shock value. I'm joking a little bit.
No, I get it.
I love Obi-Wan. I really do. But
I know you do.
I see Obi-Wan as more of like, okay, imagine this. Imagine you have a priest, and the priest is taking on.
Why do we got to use a priest?
No, but listen,
we already. You can't use a that's not fair.
On.
You can't use a priest because you're already planting a seed in my head with the priest.
No, but
you know what you're doing.
Hold
Don't
on,
sit over there and act like you little manipulation schemes over there.
No.
I see what you're doing. Okay, I'm listening. You little. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm calling you out on that.
I've had this conversation with people before. Persuasion is not manipulation. I'm giving you an analogy. I'm giving you a metaphor. You choose what to do with that. You can reject my metaphor. You can reject my analogy. You can say, you know what? I don't think it's like a priest at all.
But the first thing he says.
No, but listen.
Imagine Obi-Wan being a priest.
Clinton,
well, we all know the stories about priests.
Clinton,
so
listen
continue
to me for 2
on.
seconds. You have the ability after this analogy to say, You're an idiot. I don't believe this analogy makes any sense at all. I
Okay,
don't
go
think
on.
he's like a priest. So here's my thought.
Okay.
Obi-Wan is akin to a priest who, like, let's say, takes on a subordinate, like basically like a priest in training. Okay, I think that
Okay.
as in the case with Anakin, I think he was the same way with
Mm,
Anakin,
ditto,
and I think he
Wilbur.
was the exact. I think he was the exact same way with Luke, which is to say, I think that Obi-Wan is a good guy in the sense of like a priest is a good guy, where it's like, look, I believe in the Bible. I believe Christ is my savior. I believe all this stuff. So everything else, no matter how I feel about the
Fuck, I love
person,
it.
every single person, sorry, every single priority is going to come second or third or whatever to that. Like, it's like I'm a Jedi. I'm a Jedi Knight. No matter how much time he spent, he's learned lessons. He's become more mature. He's not the same guy he was. There are priests that are very different from other priests, right? Of course. Like, not every priest is the same. Like, some people are like, my God, my priest was like just this amazing person, and he was just would never harm a fly, and he was just. And some people have, of course, like a very bad experience with a priest. But I'm saying that Obi-Wan was a priest in the sense that he subscribed to dogma. And his subscription to the dogma and to the orthodoxy was basically such that no matter how he felt about anybody, he was so committed to
Okay.
the dogma that he would never. I don't think he's capable of being like a real father to anybody.
Okay.
Whereas, I would say Qui-Gon, who should have kind of raised Anakin, who was the one who identified Anakin, based on all
Right.
of his behaviors in that first prequel movie, Phantom Menace, everything about him indicated that, especially because you get the back lore of like he wasn't accepted onto the council even though he's a master because his views are unorthodox. He is the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I'm a priest, but people come first. Humanity comes first. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. Aliens, like life comes first.
To bring up a
So,
good point.
that's what I'm saying. Is like I think Obi-Wan had at the top of
I see what
his
you're
like
saying. Obi-Wan was
pyramid.
kind of like, yeah, he was so like
And I'm not saying he was as zealous as like
he was
Yoda
so
or somebody
devout.
else,
He was
but
so devout to the Jedi and the beliefs and
yeah,
the
yeah.
dogma that they had that he had to adhere to it, which is a good point. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. That is a
I just have to point
good
out these
point
are two
viewing it
percent. These are two
viewing it that way.
percent beers.
Also though,
No,
next
hold on. I
question
just have
then.
to say these are 2% beers, and I can show you that.
I don't worry, I believe you, Cole.
But I just want to make that clear. It's what our ancestors. It's about the same amount of alcohol our ancestors have been drinking for the last 10,000 years. So or maybe a little less, 6,000, 5,000 years. In any case, what were you going to say? Because my computer's about to die, and I want to make sure that we wrap this up in a
Oh
way
well,
that's not just.
it would have ended up being. I was just gonna say, I wonder
Yeah, please.
how Anakin would have turned out had he been the one to train him
Had Qui-Gon.
instead of Qui-Gon training him.
Well,
Had it
that's
been
the whole thing.
Instead of
Yeah.
Obi-Wan training him, had it been Qui-Gon, yeah, that trained him to how he would have what would have happened. Would he have said, "Hey, yeah, you need to go do this," and been more supportive, or would he have been more like Obi-Wan saying, "No, you can't have this," and been because, like you said, because yeah, we both know Qui-Gon very much, was reluctant with being so dogmatic about, with the Jedi, right? He
Yep.
wasn't,
Yep.
he didn't, he was unorthodox, like you said. So it's like, I wonder the differences he would have made through what he did for Anakin if it would have turned out differently. If the story would have went that way, that would have been kind of a cool take on it. God, they should remake Star Wars with like, God, that would be cool to like have a total remake
Agreed.
and not butcher it because that. I mean,
That's
it'd be really easy to butcher, but yeah.
that's the beautiful thing is like that is one of the okay. Forget AI. I'm not even gonna go fuck AI for a second. What you just said is okay. First of all, you made a lot of good points, and it was a good summary, and it was good. Yeah. About the remaking, what comes to mind is like think about how we remake Shakespeare. you know? It's like I think that Star Wars is, even if you include the horrible sequel trilogy, I think like if you include that whole thing and you just and then you, because like, you know, when they did like these like a good example is like there's these 90s movies that you would have, if I showed you what the movie was, you would recognize it. You'd be like, yeah, I've seen this, or I know about it.
Yep.
But like if I just tell you, you won't know. But like they did a couple of 90s movies, or a couple of movies in the 90s where they basically did like a modern take on like a Shakespearean story, you know?
Right.
Shakespeare was basically a master of human psychology, and I mean, honestly, probably one of the most enlightened people
Yeah.
that's ever lived, as far as we know. And I feel like, but when they do that, of course, everything gets filtered through a different lens and whatever. So like, honestly, if you take the whole just like arc of the story, it's, and then you treat it as one thing, and you just force yourself to use like at least the good parts of what you don't like we can't escape the fact that Palpatine survives this whole thing, kind of.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we can make adjustments here and there about like the role of Rey and
Yeah.
and all these characters, right? Like all of this can be adjusted, and maybe Luke's story can like extend a little bit further. Maybe Luke can play a bigger part in the confrontation with Palpatine, because there's no reason he can't really, you know what I mean? Like that would be a great and satisfying. Maybe we see more of Anakin in that final confrontation with Palpatine. Maybe there's more things to explore there about the way the Force works after
Yeah.
you've died. So I think there's a good way to retell that story if you take it as a template and you keep the
Right.
major characters the same. And actually, that hadn't really crystallized in my mind until you said that. I mean, I've thought a little bit about like, but my brain was more like locked into this like, well, if Disney remade, like if somebody remade the sequels, but it's like, what if you remade the whole thing? Which I think is what you were alluding to. It's like that
Yeah.
would be fucking, or I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
Remaking the whole thing would actually potentially be fucking amazing. But I don't really see that happening. Like, then again, the
Well,
world
of
is
course
weird.
not. It would be a
but everything's
it would be a big
accelerating,
undertaking.
so maybe that happens
And that's why
in
I
5
said
years.
though, like
Honestly.
if it would be really easy to butcher, right? If you don't have the right writer and director and
You
viewer,
got to have the
because, like,
whole team for everything. It's like just
yeah,
this
because
big
like
like super fan, super talented.
yeah,
super,
because
you know.
like you said, like there are certain parts you can adjust, right? But there are certain parts that you can't or you shouldn't adjust
You
because
can't.
it'll not make
Yeah,
sense. So like, but
exactly.
like the Qui-Gon thing, I think is a good example of something that you can adjust. Like it's still the main character and it's still going along with like the storyline. It's just somebody different doing that as opposed to, you know, Obi-Wan. You're not changing the,
Well,
you're not
but
really changing the narrative though
that's
either.
where I see. That's where I okay, but that's interesting that you say that. But that's where I actually disagree on the detail, because unfortunately, it's, you know, if you saw the Spider-Verse thing, like Into the Spider-Verse or whatever, I feel like the Qui-Gon thing is like a canon event. It's almost like Peter Parker losing his Uncle Ben. It's like Uncle Ben, the fact, like they can remake it a million ways and like whatever, but Uncle Ben has to die. And I think that that's what Qui-Gon is. Like, we don't like it, but that, to me, that's one of the details that can't be changed. What could be changed is Qui-Gon's involvement as a Force ghost after he dies. That could be changed. Like, that could be adjusted. Like, we could get more of
Yeah,
that.
but I feel like that would be, it would be less intrusive to the narrative. I think I understand where you're coming from, but it doesn't make for an interesting story by just let's change Qui-Gon's Force Ghost and what he does or whatever. Well, okay, that's all well and good, and I get what you're saying. Like, okay, you don't want to make Qui-Gon do this, but I think like I feel like that's a good example of something that you could change, and the outcome could be different, but in a very much more interesting way, because then you get to see, you know, I mean, it would be harder to do, but
I think you're fucking with a canon event.
Yeah,
that's
but
my person. Because the
you
thing
are
is, like,
fucking with
about canon events,
but at
you
the
don't have
same
to
time,
like
like,
you don't have to like the canon events. They are what they are. The fact
but I
that you
think it
don't
would
like
twist
that
the
Qui-Gon
story.
dies. I know, but that's more of a what if. I'm talking about if you have to tell the thing as faithfully as possible. I'm talking about the things that can be changed.
Yeah.
Because I think part of the reason Anakin ends up as Darth Vader is I think it's because Qui-Gon gets killed early on, and therefore
Well,
he, because I think like if you want to tell the story of like if Qui-Gon survived, I think that's a whole different fucking sequilogy,
so
you know?
you're just talking about, okay, so you're talking about remaking and keeping everything as canon as possible.
No, yeah,
Whereas
no, no, I'm
I'm
talking.
I'm
No,
going
no, no,
into
no,
more
no,
of
no.
like
I'm
the
not talking
extended
about that.
universe.
But hey, bro. Okay, fair enough. But I wouldn't say extended universe. I would say what if universe, because
Yeah.
in my version, I'm saying like you can remake the thing and change a lot of details, like about how much a certain character is involved in this thing. But I don't think you
Right.
can take out major points of like even the thing about like everybody hated that Kylo kills Han
Well,
Solo.
everybody hated the midichlorian thing
No,
too.
but I'm saying
I thoroughly
yeah,
liked
but
it.
I'm saying
I thought that
but
was cool. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm
exactly,
alone on
exactly.
that.
Yeah, so no, but I did too. It didn't bother me, but I was young
I
when I
always
saw it.
wondered why nobody liked that. Like I thought that was a cool thing to add
I
because
think
it gives you.
nowadays it's like the zeitgeist has shifted because all of us who were kids when it actually came out like feel differently, and we spent years listening to people that were older when it came out. But the point is that what I'm trying to say is that stuff like that, the midi-chlorian thing, stuff like when Yoda dies, like when people die and when people come, like the relationship between people. Like you can't make Leia like Luke's cousin. Like
Right.
there's certain things that have to stay. The beats,
Well, of course,
not even the beats, but it's just like you have to get to one of these points
because
to
we
get
know
to
if
the
Leia
other.
was Luke's cousin and it wasn't his sister, he'd have been fucking been tapping that. He was already ready to tap on it until he found out. And like even after the fact, he kind of he had that look on his face, like damn it, like, and he still would have like behind the scenes, like he's tapping that, like behind the Star Wars scenes, like
Maybe,
him and Leia were tapping it. It was like that wasn't, they cut that part out, but guarantee you that's somewhere where they were just fucking going at it as brother and sister, and they knew it.
now I have to cut that part out. Jesus
You
Christ.
don't either. That's the best part. That's one of the that's a funny moment. You can't cut that out. You
I
put
know,
that on
but
there, and AI is gonna be like that's a funny point. Let's leave. No.
Bro, teammate, what are you doing?